Hey everyone, how you guys doing? Got a lot to talk about today. Josh Turner, PRTpodcast.com, Josh Turner, PRTpodcast.com. That's the email address. Send me your stories, your weird, crazy story. I got a lot of them, a bunch of them. I thought COVID was like, people had time to just send their stories, but it seems like now it's like with COVID on the wane or whatever, it seems like it's just ramped up the stories and it just keeps going. I was trying to figure it out, but it's like every day. I'm just my phone is just blowing up. It's just great. I'll never run out of stories in my lifetime. I can tell you that right now. I'll start off with a pretty quick, weird one. But the first thing I want to do is tell everybody how glad I am to be here, that May is almost over. There were several people who passed in May, and May is a grinded out, grueling month for me, not the least of which was my mother last year that died in May. And tonight, going into June 1st, will be the anniversary of my great aunt's death. On my mother's side, she was kind of like my surrogate abuelita, in Spanish is grandmother. And even though she was my great aunt, my abuelita died when I was almost 2, not quite 2. And so she was holding me when she went into surgery, and she didn't make it out. So she died literally a couple of hours after holding me. And my mom always thought that was really profound. But I saw her. I saw my grandma, my abuelita, twice after she passed. And it's crazy. We can get into that. We can get into some weird stuff. How many of you guys are down for an episode? Because people are actually asking me for this, and I do. My show runs the gamut between ghosts, UFOs. We do a lot of Dogman, of course. That's kind of my wheelhouse, but I love to be in everybody else's wheelhouse, and so Bigfoot, I do a lot of Bigfoot. And no, this is not a Bigfoot. This is Chewbacca, so everybody knows. My wife bought this shirt, and I thought it was pretty cool, so I decided to wear it. But tonight we're going to talk about Jersey Devil. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into it. And so I did record with the guest we had last Tuesday. I know things kind of went weird and kind of went off the rails, but she did write a book. And Anne Celine wrote a book, and she's got a lot of really cool paranormal experiences. And she had a Bigfoot encounter that was quite scary. And so we talked about that. And it'll be coming out this coming Friday. Will be Dogman. Just Dogman. That's all it is. Friday, this coming Friday. It's just Dogman. And then next Friday will be the one with Anne Celine with her Bigfoot encounter and some of the weird sort of, I guess, alien story. She's got some pretty cool stuff. Too bad we didn't get into any of it on the show last week. It just kind of went off in a different direction. But a lot of people were telling me they liked the show last week. They said it was okay. They said it was good. It was up to their standards. I was like, okay, great. Like I said, May's almost over. Thank goodness. Just got to get through tonight and tomorrow, which is, and then, oh boy. Let me get to the Patreon supporters. We got Adam Jinks, Brady Matsunaga, David Vigil, Dorothy Metcalf, Fat Squatch, Jim Kovach, Joyce Brunette, Martin Hertel, Maynard W., Melissa, Michael Turner, Miguel Guerra, Peter Haralamos, if I said it right, Ricardo Ramirez, Spencer Rowley, Stephen Rivas, Titan, Vicky Walker, Alexander Murphy, Barbara Blendy, Cassidy Lee, Charles Hamill, Chris Clough, Curtis Turner, Cyrili, David Allman, Dead Man Walking, Debbie Wolf, Derek Tribble, Dick Richards, Eric Garcia, Graydon McKay, Guy, James Estrada, Josh Calierera, Kenny Irish, Christy, Martin Hertel again. Martin, I don't know if you know that you're actually on here twice. You're on here for a 20 and a 10. So, and I want to be a fair and honest person. So if you're not intending to do that, then we can figure it out there, because it's showing that you're two different tiers. Mary Plyler, Matthew Durgo, Melissa Koyman, Mimi Piccolelli, Polly G, Pauline Rome, Philip Morn, Ricardo Herrera, Samantha Bowman, Shonda Hardinger, Sonia Girding, Stephen Bates, Stephen Hall, Super Hornet 1, Taylor Alexandra, Oric, Terry Fusler, Tim Lewis, Tim Renard, Vulcan Death Grip, Extreme Reality Check. Folks, talking about this real quick, let me say something really quick about this. I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page with this. Melissa Koyman, who is a Patreon supporter, just messaged me a little bit earlier, and she said, hey, she said she felt petty for asking, okay, about her PRT swag, and I told her, don't feel petty about it. No, do not feel bad, because that is something that I have pushed and I've advertised. If you are a $10 tier Patreon member and you go 3 months or longer, you hit me up in a private message, okay, on either email or Facebook Messenger. I check those every day. And it might take me an hour. Sometimes it takes me an hour in the morning just going through the messages, and then 2 hours for the email, whatever. I do it every day. And everybody that works with me will tell you I do it every day. And I will check the emails, okay? I have 4 different emails, and one of them is specifically for this show. But anyway, Melissa wants her swag. And if you have been a Patreon member of $10 or more for 3 months, you will absolutely get it. All you got to do is be a $20 tier for 1 month, and you'll get your swag. So just ask for it, and you will receive it. Here's what we got going on now. The tickets are now really selling, okay? We got about 100 left. And I was told, don't tell people how many you have, whatever. Well, I'm just going to be honest. We have about 100. That's not a lot. Because as quickly as they're going, if you were on the fence and you think, well, I might go, I might not go, I don't know, you got to make a choice, because the VIP had sold out. We threw another 10 in there, and then I upgraded a few people last week, and I said, hey, so I made some deals, and we got a rush, 30, 40 people going in and buying tickets, and we have, I think, a little over 100 left, which is not a lot at the rate that they're going. So I thought it prudent for me to say something today. If you want to go to the Dogman conference that we're hosting August 12th and 13th in Paris, Tennessee, unbelievable lineup. Thank you, Fat Squatch, for that donation. Another Patreon supporter there. The Patreon is right here. If you look right here where my finger's at, patreon.com, PRT podcast. If you are a Patreon member, you join a $20 tier, you get an automatic discount on your tickets. The general admission tickets are $30. You'll only pay $10. You'll pay $30, and we will refund you the $10. Okay, so just hit me up on that, and we'll give you the $10 back. Same thing with the VIP tickets. If you bought VIP tickets and you're a Patreon supporter of on the $20 tier, it only works for the $20 tier. Okay, and that was advised to me. But if you're a $20 tier Patreon member, then you get a $15 discount on your VIP ticket. So instead of paying $75, you would pay $60, and we refund you the $15. So come to the conference, and you won't be disappointed. You're going to get to see an amazing lineup of people: Ron Murphy, Kenny Irish, Elijah Henderson, Barton Nunley, Ken Gerhard, Nick Redfern, David Weatherly. I mean, what else can you ask for, dude? I mean, you're getting the best of the best. You're getting Vault, Bettina Moss is going to be there. It's crazy, dude. Steve Stockton, myself. I don't know if that's an incentive, but whatever. We're all going to be there, and we're going to be talking about Dogman and cryptids. So everybody that can make it, please try to make it, dude. At $30 for a ticket ain't nothing. And people say, well, I might try to catch you next year. I'm going to be real honest, folks. I don't know that there's going to be a next year. This could just be a one and done thing, and there hasn't been one like it, and there might not be one since. It may just be a 1 year thing. I would like to say, if this is a big success, we'll do it again. And Josh Nanokio from What Lurks Beneath, and Tony Merkel, my podcast compadres, don't forget about them. They're going to be there too. My peers. And I do have a start date for my book. I'm going to start hammering away on it in July. And I hope to get it done by the end of the year. Because I've already started on getting it organized. And I just got to go redo some interviews. And we're going to talk. The book is going to be about Dogman. My first book, anyway. If it works out, I'd like to write a few more. I got a lot in me to do. Because there's some people that don't watch the show, and then some people, that's all they do is watch the show. They're not going to read a book, but, you know, whatever. One of the things I wanted to talk about tonight, besides the ticket sales, Eventbrite is where you go for that, by the way. Let me get that out of the way. Eventbrite. It is... looks like my guy is out of the office here to post it. But let me see. The ticket sales. There you are. Can you post the ticket, the Eventbrite in there? So he's going to post it on here. So if you're interested in buying tickets. Answer a few questions real quick about the event. People have been asking me why Paris, Tennessee. Ken Gerhardt chose that location due to its proximity to the LBL, because it's in the LBL. That sounded really dumb. Sorry, man. These Austin's rubbing off on me, dude. You know how you have those smog alerts that say, hey, the air is not clean today? We have dumb alerts that basically tell you higher than usual activity from really stupid people out there walking around here in Austin. They're literally like, and they're not from here. They're from all over. They actually flock here to be stupid. I know it's a weird thing. It's real. It's a real phenomenon. I'm telling you. They come here to be dumb. I'm not kidding. They're like, where are you from? They're like, Los Angeles. What brings you to Austin? I don't know, man. It's just, the beach. But we don't actually have a beach here. I know. I wanted to get away from it. There's just a lot of garbage where I was sleeping. And one day, like, I cut the roof of my mouth on some garbage, and I was like, you know what? I need to move to Austin. Oh my gosh, what kind of garbage was it? I think it was like $1. Wow, dude. Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming to Austin. Hope you don't cut your mouth on any more dollars. You sure it wasn't a sand dollar? Dude, no, that's racist. Whoa, dude. I own a firearm too. Make it stop, ma. And they start rocking back. Sorry, I need to offend you. It's nuts out there, dude. I offend people every day, just by existing. First of all, because look at me. And then second of all, I walk around the city and make eye contact. I actually offended a woman the other day by opening the door for her. Not joking. She looked at me and she said, I have arms. And I was like, that's a true statement. Yes, you do. And so do I. And she's like, you think because I'm a woman that I wanted the door open for me? And I was like, no, actually, it's because you're quite obese and I didn't know if you needed some help. I don't carry butter around with me to rub your sides or anything, but I'm just kidding. I didn't say all that. I just was like, sorry, ma'am. Sorry, I try to be polite. And I walked off. But anyway, so I got two stories, really crazy stories here that this is nuts. Okay, so people here in Austin, we have bats. We have a lot of bats. We have this like bridge that's just got bats all up underneath it. It's crazy. They're everywhere. And what they do is they're only here, I think until October. What are the bats here, Anthony? Are they here from like April to October or something like that? Is that what it is? I think they leave in like October or something. I'm not real sure. But anyway, they fly out every night in a big, huge swarm. And if you're anywhere around them, they'll swoop in and they'll attack you. And they will literally bite you to death. We here in Austin have about 220 people that die every year from being bitten and killed by the bats. They all carry rabies and super COVID. So you don't want to be here in Austin for that reason, in particular the bats, the deadly bats. They go out and they murder people. Some of them carry gats. I know, that sounds crazy, bats with gats, but that's what we call, that's actually the name of their gang, is a BWG. They be walking around like, you know what I mean? And you're like, whoa, bats with gats. Whoa. Huge bats. It's terrifying. And there have been reports of them picking up people out of their boats and taking them back to California. I know, it's crazy. You're shaking your head saying this cannot be possible, but it is. It's absolutely bullcrap. But let me tell you what happened. So I got one report from a lady who she lives in the Austin area, and she said that she and her son were. This is what she said. They're Jollyville. Okay, this is an area in Austin, and that they were walking because her daughter was living there about 6 years ago. And she said that they saw a bat. Now, this is the truth. This is a story that was given to me. I'm not joking around. They said it was the size of a medium-sized dog. They didn't know what it was. And that it was hopping around in someone's yard, and then it kind of took off running with its head forward, and then it flew up, and they were like, that's a bat. Or bat-like, I guess. Because, I kept asking, and I was like, are you sure? Like... Okay, well, just recently, about 3 or 4 days ago, got another message. And somebody told me that it was right over there by the Walmart, by Lakeline. And that they were but there's a Schlotchkes in that parking lot, whatever, and him and his girlfriend were sitting in the drive-thru, and when they were driving out, this giant bat-like thing flew out in front of the vehicle, and the person that was working there at the, I don't know if it was I think it was the Schlotchkes, I don't know if it was the Schlotchkes or they said Whataburger, I gotta go to look, but anyway, they said they were getting some fast food in the drive-thru, there's several places there. I just got this a couple days ago, and they said this happened like just recently. And the person in the drive-thru saw it. They said this thing was probably the size of a small dog. And they said it was a bat. I mean, that is weird, dude. Now, when I started doing some digging, I had a friend who, he lives down in the valley. I think down in Weslaco. If you look it up, there's a anyway, down in Weslaco, him and his friends, when they were kids, they were riding their bikes. They had BMXs. They were jumping them. That's down in the valley, in the Rio Grande Valley. And he told me, he says, dude, when I was a kid, I've known this guy for years. He's an attorney down there now. He's busy. But he said, dude, I saw a giant bat with my brother and my friend. And he told me that story. And I said, I am mentiroso. You're baracho. I called him a liar. I said he was drunk. We joke. We know each other since we were young. We were joking around. And he said, no, man, no mentiras. I saw a bat. It was a huge bat. And it flew out from a tree. And it flew right over my brother's head. And I was like, okay. Do giant bats exist? I don't know. I've heard of them down in Central South America that they get these really humongous bats. And, I don't know. Can a bat get to be the size of a small dog, a medium dog? Science would tell you probably not, but you get stories of these giant arachnids. I keep telling you, giant spiders. I mean, I've done a show about it. Go back in the archives, look at giant spiders. We did them. Weird stuff. Weird, wild stuff. There was something else I needed to do before we got started here. My guest is going to come on in a few minutes here. I'm going to call him. Morgan Anonymous says she never got her Barton children's book. Barton never wrote a children's book. So I'm not real sure what you're talking about, Morgan Anonymous. Barton has not written a children's book that I know of. I can call and ask him. That was a good question. Let me see if Barton wrote a children's book. Here is one thing I'm going to do real quick, folks, before we get any further. Everybody knows who Barton Nunley is. I call him off the cuff here to see if he can answer. Turn it up.
Hello.
Hey, Barton, are you watching the show?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so first I wanted to make sure you didn't write a children's book, right?
No, I've never written a children's book.
You've never written a children's book. Could you get on that for me, please? This woman wants a child's book stat.
Yeah, I'll be sure to do that.
Get on that right there. You know what? I want it to be about sharks with laser beams on their heads fighting bats. You can do
Excellent.
that.
Okay, let me write that down.
That just do that. Get a hold of Ken. He's got that guy. I think him and David have a guy that's a illustrator, and they could illustrate it. But I want you to write it.
Excellent idea.
Excellent. Perfect. We'll get on that, guys.
Over that. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the real reason for my call is because I wanted you out there in YouTube land, as my friend the late Brenton Sawin always used to say. I'm not copying him. I'm giving him the credit, and he's in heaven. I know he's a good guy, good Christian man. Look, okay, Barton Nunley has a comic book store, and I don't know if many people know that or not. Okay, Barton Nunley has more comic books than you can shake a stick at. Okay. Now, I don't know why you'd want to shake a stick that long, but just in case you decided you wanted to, you could never do it because he has too many comic books. He has a comic book store on eBay. Am I right?
Right.
Okay, what is it called again?
It's called The Comic Cellar, as in basement, cellar as in basement. Does anyone need any comics, be sure and stop in and buy some.
Yeah, and you got some pretty cool stuff on there. And I was about to buy some, and then he was like, "Oh, those are for auction. Sorry, I'm not going to sell those to you, fatty." I'm like, "Okay, great. That's awesome." So I wanted to tell you guys, because we have a lot of listeners who actually like comic books. Anybody knows my comic book collection was recently shanghaied by my greedy sister, so I'm going to try and rebuild it. But I'm gonna start with you because you have a lot of good stuff. You got a lot of stuff on there that I like. This guy's got it all. But you have, I think right now, listed on your eBay store over 300 comic books, right?
Right.
Yeah. Some of them are graded. I'm into the graded stuff because, I mean, I just like to have it, And
yeah,
so
a lot of people like those slab books.
I like them slabbed up so I don't have to deal with them, and they're protected for all life or whatever. So what Barton does is he gets on there regularly and he adds new comic books and he has auctions. And I just realized the other day when me and you were talking about this, Barton, that we have never talked about that. We have never, because of course this show is about the paranormal and all kinds of weird stuff. But I thought, right. Barton Nunley has a comic book store, and we never talk about that. And we promo a lot of people and their restaurants and their businesses, and we give people support and whatever. So everybody, if you're into comic books, message Barton Nunley, tell him what you're looking for. Blow up his inbox, make it to where it's just cluttered full of requests, and, just bother him. Just give him a hard time. So anyway, folks, I just wanted to bring Barton on and promo his comic book store. So, Barton, I'm going to let you go so I can finish the show. But
I appreciate that, Josh, really. What a nice surprise. And
don't forget about my order because I'm not going to say anything because people go run out there and try to buy it before I get it.
Right.
So you know what I'm looking for. So anyway, there it is, guys. All right. And don't forget, write the children's book. All right. I'll see you, Barton.
Okay. Have a good evening.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so Barton's going to write a children's book, and we're going to get Ken and guy and their illustrator. I think Lyle's illustrator. I don't know, but we'll have them illustrate it, and you'll have an amazing children's book. See if we can get it done in the next few minutes. Okay, so anyways, don't forget, if you're looking for comic books, hit up Barton Nunley. Way to hit him up too is, just go to eBay and go to Comic Cellar. It's CELLAR. And when I went on there, and then I started looking, and I said, well, do you have this stuff here? And then me and him just started messaging back and forth, and he found all kinds of stuff that I was actually looking for. So if you're looking for comics, he's your guy. He's got a comic book shop, and it's on eBay. So there you go for all your comic needs. Somebody says X-Men 14. I wish I had that issue. It'd be amazing. Wish I had Incredible Hulk, Amazing Spider-Man #1. Wouldn't have to work again a day in my life. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring our guest on in a few minutes here, but I got a few minutes. I wanted to say something. Everybody who's been participating in the Paranormal Prayer Group, we appreciate that. My wife's group, she's really proud of it. And Paranormal Lounge, don't forget, join Paranormal Lounge on Facebook. That's Nellie's group. It's starting to grow. And Tony's group that he neglects is called Paranormal Encounters. They still have cool stuff on there. It's just that Tony never does anything with it. And if you're listening, Tony, you know it's true. So anyway. I met a really nice guy earlier. Was looking at his getting a used car from him. His name is Joseph. Give him a shout out. He was a very nice young man, very, very kind. We don't know about the car yet for sure, but he's a very nice guy. I thought I'd give him a shout out because he was so polite to me and Anthony and Nellie. So if you're listening, also I want to give a shout out to Chase, my little cousin that graduated from high school, and my cousin Daniel, who graduated from high school. Congratulations to Chase. Yeah. And I did get you a gift, both of you guys. I just haven't been able to drop it off. I haven't been able to do much of anything. I've just been so busy. But I wanted to give you a shout out on air. One of the things I wanted to say, people are hitting me up and they're saying, hey, I really wanted a VIP ticket to the event and I didn't get one. So they're kind of acting like they don't want to go if they don't get a VIP ticket. Look, if you got a VIP ticket, you get to eat with us on August 12th. You get to, you arrive early and you get that extra day, whatever. But I promise you, if you buy a general admission ticket, I'm going to make it a point to talk to each and every one of my listeners. Okay? And we're going to make sure that everybody that shows up leaves satisfied. That's why we're having the barbecue brought in. We're having a guy that's going to come. He's a Bigfoot hunter too. His name's Trey Felton. He's got a Thorndale Meat Market. Look it up. He's amazing. He's going to cater it. And we're going to have, a huge party. We're going to have all these people speaking, talking about Dogman. And we're going to have a panel, and we're all going to discuss it. And everybody's going to, if you got questions, ask your questions. Raise your hand and ask the questions, folks. Okay, so let's see, Blocksville, Tennessee. Obviously, he wants to be. He doesn't want to be in the chat, so we can ask you. Yeah, it's blah blah blah. That's what we're doing because I got a guest that's coming on at 9. And also, I want to thank somebody who anonymously. She wants to remain anonymous, but she donated money to helping us with the conference and helping us pay for the catering, which was very kind of her. And I want to thank you personally. I wish I could thank you in person. And she's going to be at the conference, but I appreciate that. Ken, nice of you to show up. How you doing, Ken? So anyways, tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think that giant bats exist? We hear about giant pterodactyls flying around, prehistoric creatures. We hear about giant birds flying around, thunderbirds. In fact, Ken, who's in the chat right now, wrote a book called Big Bird. And in that book, one of Barton Nunley's encounters is in there. Do giant bats exist? Because that's 3 now that I've gotten. Ricardo Ramirez, thank you for that donation. Speaking of birds and Austin being weird, check this out. Fly Right. If you drove by that place, what would you think? Would you think that's a place I'm going to stop and eat at? What do you think it is? Tell me in the comments right here, folks, what you think of Fly Right is. What does it sound like to you? Don't look it up on Google. Just tell me what you think it is. Missy Lay, thank you for that donation. Somebody tell me what you think Fly Right is. Like, if you just heard that, do you think it's, what do you think? What is it? Nobody? Nobody's going to guess? Pilot training? Somebody said weeds. a truck stop? No. It's actually it's very good, actually. It's a chicken sandwich place that's open on Sundays. And it's actually very good. It's called Fly Right. I like it. They make a great chicken sandwich. But, I mean, you know, what's up with these names, dude? Like, I was driving down airport earlier, and we were coming back from looking at that car, and I see this place called Jackie's Play and Stay. That's all it is. It just says Jackie's Play and Stay. It doesn't tell you what it is. Play and Stay. It could be doggy daycare. I don't know what it is. It could be a nightclub. But it's like the front of a business. You could see inside of it. So I don't think it was like a nightclub or a bar. It was just called Jackie's Play and Stay. And I'm going like, what is up with these names of these places here in Austin? You drive by places all the time and you're just like, what is that? Or here's another one, Tumble 22. What? Stimulate. No, I don't think. What do you think Tumble 22 is, folks? We only got a few minutes here because we're going to have our guests come on. What is Tumble 22? What do you think that is? Nobody? Okay. That's actually another chicken tenders. They sell chicken tenders there, and they do a really good job of it. It's like this, supposedly like this hot Nashville flavor that they put on them, and you can get them real plain, or you can get them hot in varying degrees. If you get the hottest one, God help you, it is very hot, and I like hot stuff. And it was so hot that one of Anthony's brothers and Scorpion and me and Nellie didn't, she knew better, but I warned them, and they couldn't eat it. Okay, and here's another one, Bird Biscuit. Now, by the biscuit, you can tell that it's probably a chicken place, right? But what kind? I mean, what is it? Bird Biscuit. That's another one here in Austin. Like, what is that? You know? There's another place called Peach Tortilla. And then another one called Cilantro. Now, cilantro is very good. I love it. I found out what it was. It's a Korean barbecue type place, but it has kind of a Mexican flair to it. It's really good. It's like an Asian meets Mexican. It's really good, but it's just weird. I mean, you know. And then you got Bird Biscuit, and then you got Happy Chicks. Now, Happy Chicks, because it says chicks, but what kind? Yeah, now Wendy says here, Wolf, I seem to remember someone saying the Jersey Devil is actually a horse-faced bat, and they are supposed to be huge. That's Nick Valente. Nick Valente's take on it, now being from New Jersey, is that it's a hammerhead bat. Those who live in the desert, in the Arabian desert. Like, what are they doing here? Here's another place, Freebirds. When you hear Freebirds, what do you think? You'll never guess. If you're not from Oslo, you will never guess what it is. It's a food place. But it's not chicken. It's called Freebirds, but it's not chicken. It's a burrito place. There's another one called Cabo Bob's. I mean, you know, you wouldn't know what they are unless, you know, and then there's another one called Cover 2. And then there's one called Cover 3. And they have really good chicken fried steaks. They have really good food there, but you don't know what it is. I mean, you're driving by and it looks like a store or something outside of the shopping center. You're like, and then there's a movie theater called Alamo Draft House. That's all it is. Alamo Draft House. We're not even in San Antonio with Alamo. It's a movie theater. Austin is just so, I mean, they're doing everything they can to keep it weird and just convoluted. I can tell you that. I don't know. It's just weird. Folks, if you didn't watch the show that came on Friday, the one we dropped on Friday, go check it out. We talk about shape-shifting sharks. We talk about all kinds of stuff on that show. It is a crazy show. We talk about cryptids and ghosts and all kinds of, it's with Kevin Panay. He's a native Hawaiian, and we talk about Hawaiian myths and legends. Episode 1 or part 1 was the Friday before last, and then this past Friday was part 2. Go check it out. That's what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to show you this really quickly, and then we're going to make a phone call. Let me show you this. This is a size comparison here. This is, if you can see that, this is a prehistoric shark tooth. This is a great white's prehistoric shark tooth, this one. Now this one is a megalodon. You see the difference in size? Now I have another great white tooth to show you. These have actually been inlaid with turquoise. That's a great white shark tooth. Still pretty bad. That's a bad boy. It can really, really mess you up, man. If you get bit by something, look how big it is. You know, you could use this as an arrowhead. You could use this as a spearhead. This. Look at this. A lot of the show we talked about sharks on there on the Hawaiian one. See this? It's great white. Megalodon. You see the difference? As big as this one is, though, let me show you something else. I got 3 megalodon teeth. This is my biggest one. This is my baby right here. Look at this sucker. Folks, take a look at this. Look, this thing covers my face. Look at this. Look how much bigger it is than the other one. This is a big boy right here, but this one. Can you imagine the animal that owned this? Modern great white megalodon. Aren't you glad these things aren't swimming around the ocean anymore, or are they? Look at that, folks. This is according to how 10 feet, per inch or two. This is 6 inches. 60 feet. You could just you kill somebody with it. Just, I mean, you could cut somebody to pieces with this little thing. That is unbelievable. This is scary, folks. That this actually was swimming around in the ocean. This is a real fossil. This is no bull crap fake. Yeah, Nick, a new necklace. Can you imagine carrying this around all day? I thought it would look cool and give me the power of the shark. Instead, it just made my back really strong. But this is I just got this. I don't wear it as a necklace. I mean, because I have other stuff I wear. But I guess I could put it on. Right next to my boar tusk. This is a huge boar tusk. Look at this boar. Imagine the monster that this belonged to, the boar that this belonged to. When a great white shark tooth is actually smaller than that. People are like, why do y'all have problems with hogs? Why do you? Because they're monsters, dude. They're like real life monsters running around out here. You have no idea. But this, I am gonna use this as a pendant, but not for this particular chain. I have a chain for it. This one too is the great white. Because it wouldn't fit on this necklace, but anyways, folks, I just thought I'd give you a comparison because people were asking me about sharks all week because I did the Hawaiian episode and we talked about sharks. If you're into sharks, go check it out. Go check it out. So anyways, let's get on this. We're going to get a phone call going here and we're going to talk about the Jersey Devil. It's almost 9 o'clock. my time. Sorry that I bored some of you with my stories of giant bats. And the giant bats were not aggressive, folks. No humans or bats were harmed in the telling of those stories. So, but you know, you never know. It could be. Might get one now. Now that I've talked about it, somebody's going to be like, yeah, there was a giant bat that attacked me and ate my face. I'll show you pictures. Happy birthday to Jeff Meadows. He's the owner of Black Sheep Boxing. And he's a good friend of mine, and he does a great job. Black Sheep Boxing is a incredible place. He's helped a lot of people with substance abuse, alcoholism, gave them a place to go, place to be fighters. Let's call our guest.
Hello, sir.
Hey, Brian, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. You know, I mean, every time we're supposed to get together, something comes in and says no.
Yeah.
You know, I got some issues, and I'm like, the hell with that. They don't want us together because we're going to blow this crap up, right?
Yeah. So,
yes, thank you for having me on. By the way, great show.
Absolutely.
I told you this before. You know, so I didn't mean to cut you off, but I told you this before. I said you put on a good. You know, you have a good show. Great fans, great audience, great everything, and you do it right. You're one of the few that do it right. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Well, I appreciate that. My friend David Weatherly said that he told me one day, he said, just because you can don't mean you should. And he was talking about a lot of people writing books that they shouldn't be writing, and, you know, podcasters doing podcasting.
Amen.
And, yeah.
You know what? That's why, like, I took a different route with the show. I was working with, I got a co-host. I got 2 shows with Ron Murphy called Inside the Goblin Universe. And then I have another show that I do called Nobo Boomy, which stands for Nobody But Me. I just figured, it'd be, you know, everybody just gets that screwed up. But it's basically, it is paranormal on some parts, but we talk, you know, music, we talk art. I'll always throw a paranormal question in there. Like the last show we did, I had a couple of great guitarists on. Legendary people, you know, one of which is my friend. All these guys work for the bigwigs, you know, and my question was, did Robert Johnson go down to the crossroads and sell his soul?
Mm-hmm.
But I also wanted to talk about music, so it was a great way to do it, right? You know, it doesn't have to be paranormal 24/7.
No,
for some people. So yeah.
Yeah, sometimes when I don't talk about when I don't pop out a bunch of stories, you know, they're like, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" And it's like a comedian. You gotta crack jokes or they get mad. And then it's like, why are you not talking about scary stuff right now? You better start, or I'm gonna be mad and say something mean.
You talked about crazy bats, the large bats around the world. I mean, that's
what is that? I mean, and that leads me into what we were going to talk about. But let's hold that for a second. You just threw out Robert Johnson, the Crossroads. I just had a talk with somebody the other day about that.
Right.
Okay, and so we're gonna see where this takes us here. If anybody that doesn't know what he's talking about, okay, and there was a guy that wrote a book, and I can't remember his name, but it was called Hellhounds on Their Trail. I read it years ago.
Yep.
And it was such a weird book. It was falling apart as I read it. I was taking the pages out. You know, it's falling apart.
If you can find a copy of it right now, it's usually like a PDF someplace on the internet.
It's hard to find.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, there's been a few books that I've had over the years that I got like at a half-price bookstore. I know I had one that Rosemary Ellen Galley had written, and I read it. I think it was about fairies or something. And every time I read it, the page would fall out, and then the book was in pieces by the time I was done reading it. But that happened with that Hellhounds book. And what the book is about essentially talks about the 27 Club. And all the people who died, I think that was part of it, was the people who died, like Kurt Cobain and all these people, that Janis Joplin, they all died at the age of 27, which is such a weird thing.
It is strange. It's a very, you know, I mean, it makes you want to think, is it like just, pardon the expression, crap happens? or is it like there's something to it?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and that number, why that number? Now, if you looked at numerology, it'd be 2 + 7 would be 9, which would be the final number. Which I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I mean, it's weird. Now, Robert Johnson, we're talking about Robert Johnson.
Yep.
He supposedly sold his soul at the crossroads, and they say that if you go to the crossroads, and actually my nephew that's here in the studio with me right now, Anthony, he had a really weird experience at a crossroads one time, and I was explaining to him when he was younger, I said, Mijo, there's a lot of people that have experiences at the crossroads. Crossroads are considered to be hotbeds of paranormal activity. Now, Robert Johnson went to the crossroads, so he sold his soul to the devil, so he could play, guitar and whatever.
Best
and
blues man out there.
The best blues ever, and that's the legend. Now, whether it's real or not, I don't know. Here's a funny thing. In my hometown, there is a legend that my this is another weird synchronicity. My great aunt, this is the anniversary of her death. But she always would talk about these Hidalgo dogs. They were these dogs that were once mariachis, and they had sold their soul, or the leader had sold a soul to get this girl. Of course, it never works out. And then he ended up, his bandmates, they saw how good he could play the instruments. So 2 of them joined him. So there were 3 of them out of the 5. And they were granted immortality, but the way that they were granted it was that they would roam the earth until judgment as these black dogs, and then they would go to hell. So not a fun existence, but there again, the same thing happened. The same story. They went to a crossroads down by the railroad tracks, so there was an interchange right there, and they supposedly, he made a deal with the devil. Then he brought 2 of his friends and his, his carnales. They did the same thing, and then now they're cursed, and people see them, and they'll stand up and walk around. And some people say that's the origin to the story of the Dogman in my hometown. They don't call them Dogman because they don't know what that is. But you and me were just talking, so you're just talking about the crossroads. Now, give me your opinion. What do you think, Robert? Do you believe that's true? You think Robert Johnson really did that?
Unfortunately, I'm not a believer of it. After enough research, and we were talking about a couple of, I mean, you're a Southern guy, and I got a lot of friends and family actually down south, and we're talking about it, and it sounds like a great story, and it gives it a little bit of that, that mojo that you need to kind of come out of, like, where did he come from type of thing. And you can make up whatever you want, but I think he went away for 6 months and he learned how to play. That was his problem. He wasn't a good player initially. Everybody used to give him hell for it. Like, boy, learn how to play. And he set himself aside, and he was determined, because he didn't have anything other than that guitar for the most part in his life. Guitar, liquor, and women, right?
That's right.
That was his life.
And he was a poor black man. I mean, he wasn't going to have a whole lot.
Exactly. And, a bit of a hellraiser too. So, they always say that about some of the hellraisers. Oh, he's got a bit of the devil in him, So if it works for you, it works for you. It's PR. And it's a great legend. But he did come, back on the scene. And that's what practice will get you. But you are right, though, about crossroads. Crossroads are a very interesting part of this paranormal community, and not many people focus on them. Really very few people focus on it, because they're powerful. It's a powerful area. It's like that yin yang. You have a moment at that yin yang to make that choice. You want to go with the dark side and get that magic, and there's a big heavy price to pay, or do you want to just say, nope, I'll do it the long and hard way?
That's right. And
plenty of people have made that mistake. And like you said before, there are plenty of, you people going out. I mean, I've been going up, and even in Connecticut, there's different crossroads. And let me tell you, before I used to go for summer camp because my mother worked there. We got to go for free. And, as you got old, you hung out. And we've been in a couple of crossroads, and there's just this feeling about that road, especially at night, like you're waiting for someone to pop up, like the devil or a Dogman or something coming out of the woods.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. It's kind of like a sixth sense type of thing. And a lot of times your best bet is just keep traveling down. Don't stop. But some people make those mistakes, and a lot of people go missing at crossroads. So there's a little bit of a phenomenon there.
Well, a lot. I mean, I think, yeah.
I think it's worthy of a look in. I mean, if people, right now I'm doing a little bit more, stuff with, because of the COVID thing, was kind of hard to get out and go places. And right now we're doing a little bit more on the cryptid side, specifically Sasquatch, Bigfoot. I call him Bigfoot. Some people like to call him Sasquatch. We happened to come across a spot recently. We were supposed to go shooting, and the range was closed. So we said, okay, plan B. And we went to this one area upstate, and we found a baby print right next to an adult print. It was almost like the whole area was cleared out. It looked like a juvenile play area, like keep them there and we'll go hunt. And I used my FLIR for the first time there. The LiDAR. And I got some real, the baby print is 12 inches long, which is nothing, right?
Yeah.
But the print next to it is about 17 inches long.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you ever held a child's hand, my right foot, it was the right foot of the adult and the left foot of a child. And I don't know children that are walking that close together, except for, parents, mothers and their kids, or fathers or whatever. It was just very odd. We found a lot of Sasquatch, tree structures, stars, crosses. It was insane. It was littered with it. But it's a perfect spot because it had a good vantage point where, they could keep those kids or the young off safe and monitor them while they could also, go after, prey like deer. We have a ton of deer in New York now. And it's an easy spot. And also you could see down this roadway, it was like a logging road, like a fire road. And they were able to monitor the whole thing. It was, if you didn't know what you were looking for, you would have been like, oh, it's nothing. But after doing this for so long, you just start seeing these things. And sometimes I just pop it out. And, my wife is like, okay, enough.
Yeah.
Okay, enough. You're scaring your youngest. I'm like, okay, I'll stop now.
And see, and Brian, we've known each other for a long time. And
yes, sir.
So anybody that doesn't know, this is Brian Bowden, right? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bowden.
Some people say Bowden, but I say Bowden. But we've known each other for a long time. I remember somebody we got into an argument on Facebook with some people, and they said that we share a space in the dungeon. He goes, "Are you guys next to each other in the dungeon?" I don't want to get into what it was about, but we were getting on to somebody, and I told Brian, I was like, "So apparently we're
you know what? It's
very similar people."
We are. Look. You have you have done a great job at what you've done, and I'm going to say this, and I don't mean any disrespect. You have matured properly into this position. Yes, there was. I saw some fighting online. I'm like, holy shit! Someone make me popcorn, man, because this is getting crazy. And I think there's a craziness to this game. You know that, and I know that. It's a little bit of a game. It's a business. It's followers, subscribers. You want to get, and once you start getting a lot of them, a lot of people get egos. I've gotten it. I think you've gotten it. A bunch of people have gotten it. But when you start realizing this isn't good karma, I'm not being a good person or a good Christian, I got to bring this back. This is getting negative. We should be together. We should be, working and I think that's what we need is in this community is stop fighting with each other. Stop hiding your evidence. Let's share it and let's get some freaking answers.
Yeah, well, right? And some people that claim they have evidence, that was my big issue, was that they're like, I have all this evidence. Well, then show it.
Show it. Yeah. Exactly. And no offense to the people, because I've been in the field. I'm a boots on the ground guy. I don't watch too many. I'll catch some of the podcasting, but I want to be out in the woods late at night with some crazy shit going on. And but I've had moments of I've seen things, blob squatches and stuff. People are putting up a lot of the blob squatch, and I get it because you were there at that experience. You took the photo. You saw it better than anybody. That you humanize better than the camera, especially the ones that everybody's using now. But when you see something that literally looks like a blob, or it's just no, I just don't like it. And the current trend now is we have too many storytellers. That's the problem. And I'm a God-fearing person. You know that, and, we've discussed that before, I think on Dee's show. But I don't think everything's the demon or the Nephilim.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, they have demons don't play around. They don't, I'll just inhabit these people for a while and scare them. Demons do not play around. They play for keeps. Okay. And the Nephilim, yes, they existed in my opinion, but they weren't meeting with Bigfoot. Okay. And I've heard that theory. And look, I wasn't there. I don't think it's a great explanation for things.
Well, yeah, because that's kind of the go-to. If you're Christian, everything's a demon. If you're a Muslim, one of the guys that works for me is a great guy. He's a Muslim. It's a jinn. It's a jinn. And that is such a huge, broad term. And then I mentioned something the other day, Brian, to somebody about, a lot of these things being from inner earth.
Right.
And immediately a fight broke out. And like everybody had a different opinion, and I was like, I'm not even going to get into this, because I do believe, and this is one of the things I've talked to multiple people about, and that live near some of these places, like Elijah Henderson and Barton Ln in Kentucky. Why there's so many of them in that area? Because they live on a giant cave system, and I think these things come from the inner earth. I mean, I think there's a whole world below our feet that people don't want to admit exists.
One of the guys we lost this year was Butch Witowski.
Butch Witowski,
he was kind of like a father figure, but a really good friend. And him and I used to talk all the time. I used to call him up privately, and we would talk. And some of the things we talked about, no one else talks about. We were the only people that really were into what was going on with the human mutilations, not cattle. Human. People don't talk about this because it's really, really dark. It's
very
a very
dark.
big dark
It's
side.
scary, too.
It's very scary. It's exactly like cattle mutilations, everybody, but they're human bodies there. And, it kind of like, it's really unnerving. You kind of talk the fantasy stuff with cows or whatever. Once you get to humans, it gets crazy. But he used to investigate Pennsylvania. I've been to Pennsylvania. I mean, it's just, there's nothing there. It's, it's miles and miles and miles of this dense, thick forest. You can have 15 dogmen standing literally 10 feet from you. You couldn't even see it.
Beautiful
because
place.
It's so dark and dense. Oh, it's nice. Don't
Beautiful.
get me wrong.
The Poconos, it's really beautiful.
Right. Well, that's on the east side, but I'm going like, he called it the lichen loop. He liked to call them lichens more so than the dog.
Yeah, I remember that lichen loop. Yeah.
But this whole area we're talking about with Kentucky and with Pennsylvania and with that Appalachian Trail, there is a huge cave system there. And considering the fact that they just discovered a cave system in China where they have 175-foot trees there growing normally.
That's crazy.
You don't think these creatures could be retreating into the inner earth and using their pathways to go X, Y, and Z? How about the stories out of Texas? I forgot where it was, and I forgot who it was. I apologize. It was a while ago. About these guys in a small town in Texas. Dogmen were hitting a church up, right? And he used to see them coming out of the sewers.
Yeah, out of the well.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that not a cave system?
That's a guy that used to work for me. He told me and
really?
3 other, it was me, Anthony, and Scorpion, and his girlfriend, and we were all talking one night, and he told us the story. Yeah, and the funny part to that story was that Scorpion made up a story on the fly to try to get this guy to tell us his story, and the guy was like, he paused and goes, "So what happened to you?" And the Scorpion didn't know what to say, so he was just like, "I saw a werewolf standing in the tree line and had claws," and he was like looking at him like, and I was cringing. I was like, "Oh my God, dude, what are you talking about? You've never seen anything like that." So when the guy went to the restroom, I was like, "Dude, what are you doing? Like, why are you making it?" He goes, "I'm trying to make it feel more comfortable." I was like, "By lying? By just making up something that sounds unbelievable?" And when the guy told us that story, he was crying. Like, he was crying. Like, the guy was like, "Dude, I was a kid. I was like 11 years old or whatever." And it was really scary to him. I don't remember if he was 8 or 11, something like that. He was little. And it was his, They put me and my old co-host went out there, and then my wife, we went out there with her sister and Anthony, and we all went out there. They capped that well off. They
Cool.
literally put a metal thing over the top of it, dude. So I mean, that tells you that they knew something was not correct there to put, and then they put rivets, like they drilled it all, like rivets all the way
Like,
around
weld
it.
this.
So no
Put
matter
some
how
more on
strong you
top.
are, you're not getting out unless you're the Incredible Hulk. So, and I told my wife, I said, you could cap a well without all that. I mean, why do you,
Yeah,
so obviously there was something there, and it's a very scary
Chernobyl
place.
did, right?
Oh man, it's crazy. And at night, it's spooky as heck. I mean, and
You
it's
just-
private property, and I'm afraid to give people location because they'll go running out there, and then they'll be like, well, Josh Turner said to come out here and look for Dogman.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
I mean, but
Look, you can talk all you want, but everybody's their own keeper at that point.
mhm.
Don't put that stuff on me. But I mean, I've actually had encounters with this cryptid. Okay, I didn't want to believe this thing was real. I was like, okay, Bigfoot's cool, whatever, and I started hearing it, and then I started getting information and calls from people, with all zeros in the number, 000, yeah, I heard you're looking into this thing, and they're telling me what they do, and I got to keep confidentiality about some. I will not betray a confidence of anybody.
Yeah, you can't.
No, you know what? What people don't understand is, yeah, it's great to talk on a show, but this person has a livelihood, he has a family, he has a retirement plan. I'm not screwing that up for him. And you know what? They're doing more, thank God for their service, than you will ever do anyplace else. So, but you start hearing that these people have more to lose than gain, everything. And they're telling you these things, and they're telling you there's certain groups that are tasked to take them out, and you're like, I thought it would, you start going through your own mental notes. Like, I thought that was a little bit more of a hokey thing, but this guy's, and then that guy gets confirmed by a third party that calls you or you contact, and so it just starts evolving. But I mean, I was pretty close in the woods when we were doing an investigation. There was definitely, there was a large bipedal in the woods. It was by a cemetery up in New York State. We were investigating actually the cemetery for a place called, oh my God, I can't remember, Letchworth Village. You may have seen it on Ghost Hunters did it, or Ghost Adventurers.
Mm-hmm.
And the cemetery was where they put all the unnamed dead from age, like literally 2 days up to 90. It was a 28,000 acre facility to dump problems, bastard children, defects, deformities. They experimented on vaccinations there, and the way they got the winning candidate, I don't know if it was tuberculosis or there was another one. If you didn't die, you were a candidate. That was like it was a candidate,
Mm-hmm.
and they did this on children. So they would just bury people there. So we were investigating, but we had what I call a Dogman structure there. We went there, it was a day-night thing. And at one point we come across this one like little path that goes through the woods, like kind of like around the cemetery. And there's a tree that is probably, I'm going to say about 4 feet in diameter or bigger. And it looked like it was ripped out from the ground, turned upside down. So the roots are now in the air. And it was hanging on other trees that were upside down. And we're looking at this and we're like, this is classic Dogman. See, Bigfoot will do the X structure. Dogman likes to be a little bit more creative, in my opinion. They really want to let you know, like, we can destroy you in a second. So this tree was upside down with the roots hanging. I mean, I don't know how you do that without a whole bunch of guys there, machines and everything. No one will do that. It's a hazard, right? If you work construction, even on the power lines that were near us, you can't leave it. That's a liability. Someone's going to walk there. The tree's going to fall and kill them. It was perfect. And my buddy, I work with Al Sanariga, on a lot of investigations. He was on we were hearing big dog, like, but I was focusing paranormal, like EVPs and stuff. I wasn't focusing cryptids. And he kept hearing it. And we're doing the investigation. And at one point we went to town, get something to eat. We came back at night. We stood there hung out there for a little bit. And this mist started rolling in. And it was your classic movie scene, right? So we're at a cemetery we're sitting there monitoring it, have our cameras, and this mist starts rolling in under a full moon, mind you, and we're like, this is not happening. This is like totally Hollywood. Seriously, it was a mist. And then after a while, it was just like, we just knew it was time to go. We got up and we left. And as we're walking back out the path to the little road, the private road, in the deep in the country, the side of the country there, he parked about a quarter mile up under a light where there's usually, it looked like a nature path. So if the cops came or something, they'd say, oh, they're probably just hiking or whatever. And we saw eye shine. We get to the car. Now, I tell us all the time, I had to pee. And I'm very respectful. I'm not going to urinate in a cemetery whatsoever. So I think, we'll get to the car. And sitting there, I'm on the passenger side of his Jeep. We're look at something. I thought it was a deer at one point, but no, it looked like Marmaduke. It had pointed ears, and it was sitting there, had that snout on the front end. And it was just enough in the shadows where you couldn't really make out full detail, but it was no more than 20 feet from me. Now I'm 6'1". I'm standing on a 3-foot grade. That makes me 9 feet 1 inches tall, right? This thing was sitting on its haunch, and I'm urinating in front of it, mind you. I just have to pee. Staring at us, not moving. And where the dog's snout was almost as level as my nose, or the animal. Okay? If that animal stands up off its haunch, that dog's gonna. I look at it as a dog, a canine. That's why I'm using the term dog. It would be a lot taller than me. That would make it almost 10 plus feet. And it just stood there. And the original eye shine was amber. Not like that deer, like it's almost like a greenish. I don't know if you've seen that before. And so I'm urinating now. Al's screaming, get in the car, Bri, get in the car, Bri. I'm like, wait, I'm not finished yet. I think what happened with me is I don't have firearms, New York State, right? Communist. Yeah. So I don't own them, dude. That's why I'm moving to Florida. Welcome to, I'll take the Vernelli, I'll take the Taurus, give me the Glock. So when we go out, because the
Canic is a really good your gun of the year 2022. Anyway.
Really?
Yeah, okay, it was 2020, sorry.
Oh yeah.
It's a Turkish-made gun, but it's a really good. It's actually, you can get a 20+1. But anyway, that's.
Oh no. We'll talk later about that.
Yeah, trust me, I can tell.
So when I go out into any type of investigation, I have a machete behind my head that's on my back. I have one that's on my side, or the right side, and then I have one across, kind of comes across my front chest, because we do have a bear here. We also have big cat. Mm-hmm. And there are other things, you got to protect yourself. And this thing was just sitting there, and I'm going, and Al's screaming, get in the car, I'm leaving you here. I'm like, you're not going to leave me here. I got to go. No, you got to do this now. I'm like, so I'm peeing in front of this thing. And then what happened was it lowered itself and it disappeared. So it lowered its body, and it was like one of those one fluid motion, and it disappeared. And the minute it did that, the chicken skin came up on my body. Now, when I get chicken skin and any investigation, the shit's going to get real. That's when that's like my tell, my inner whatever. And I said, it's time to go. We got in the car. We peeled out. I think what really saved me there was the fact that I had 3 machetes on me, and this creature knew exactly what a machete was. They
do, and they know what knives, guns. They know exactly what these things are.
Yeah,
I've heard people say they point guns at them and they move, they get away. Yeah.
Yep, but they do. But here's the deal. Butch was talking about somebody, and he contacted a native. He was on an investigation for a Dogman case. He went into the town, talked to one of these guys at one of the stores there, investigating him. And he's a former police officer, right? So he's always carrying on him. So this kid said, let me call one of my elders. And the tribe talked, he talked to the elders. They came by, they gave Butch, they said, here, wear this. They gave him some kind of medicine bag. They said, don't bring any firearm. Bring a long blade, which they meant the machete. And the reason why is, and Dogman's smart enough, if you shoot at a Dogman, if you're that stupid, okay, unless your life is totally on the line, you're not going to make it out. They're going to track your ass down, and they're going to rip you to shreds. It's a guarantee. It's been done numerous times. Plenty of cases with that. The one thing about a knife, though, is, so like if I don't go hunting, but I know people have moose hunted, they say you have to get it at a certain angle because if you shoot in the chest, the skin is so thick, it becomes like a bulletproof vest. So all you're doing is pissing the damn thing off.
Well, you know, that's also going back to the legends that the Arabs tell that of iron. You know, you're supposed to put iron up and hang knives up in your house.
Yep.
You know, and one of I think the names of like the sheiks are like the Habu Sakin, which is like father of the knife, you know, there's always a sacred dagger that they carry on them, and they hang it up in their houses. The Bedouins will, when they pitch their tents, and they will put their swords up in the different four corners of the tent, because supposedly the iron keeps the jinn away. They don't like bladed weapons. That's supposedly the case.
100%. So, on a sidebar note, going with the irons, though, I'll get back to what I was saying before. So one of my friends is Miss Aida. She's a she's a God-fearing woman, but she's a hoodoo Santeria practitioner. She was born into it. African Cuban roots. Wonderful person. She's on the forefront of this stuff. She's great. And I had her on my show. I was interested, and we became like family. I mean, I think when we meet people in this, we were supposed to meet Josh, just like I was supposed to meet Miss Aida, just like I was supposed to meet certain people. It's like this is where we were. It's synchronicity. There's no coincidence. It was meant to happen. So she says she does a lot of, you know, stuff in the religious end, and, you know, how it works with, you know, calling on saints and whatever. And she goes, you guys must go out and wear iron bracelets. You have to wear them on your left hand. And this goes back from the beginning of time. Iron, for some reason, even Catholic priests do it during an exorcism. They wear them on their left wrist, and it prevents the evil from taking them. It prevents the evil from coming in. There's something about the iron material. Now, maybe it's because it's made from the earth, or whatever. That, you know, it's all pure. It's you know, just like the jinn, and you saying with the knives in the Arabic land. They know, and I guarantee you, when you see somebody who is Arabic, they will have something iron on their wrist, their left wrist.
Well,
so,
gold and silver are also purification metals too. Like 100%, silver, yeah.
They'll have that too. But there's something about the iron on the left wrist that gives you that power. Like, look, when we meet each other, right, we shake with our right hands. Why? Because that's the good side. That's where the positive flows. We're creating positive deposits, positive energy. If you start shaking with your left hand, what happens is that's the receiver in your body. And that's where you receive the bad. That's why when you wear it on your left wrist, it blocks the reception of the evil or an entranceway. That's basically a layman's way of explaining a very long, complex, you know, situation.
Well, let me add something to that, Brian. Yeah. Like
sure.
I know that there are sects of Hindus who also believe that and this goes way back to a lot of different cultures. The Mesoamericans even believed it, but people are confused by this, okay? The right eye is actually the evil eye, and I'll tell you why that is. The left eye is actually, and now it's scientifically, you can actually cover the right eye. You receive more positivity through the left eye than you do through the right eye. There have been people that I've read all kinds of stories. I don't know if it was in Scientific American or Discover, one of those magazines I was reading years ago, that somebody who gets their right eye put out, they're actually more positive, a more positive person than a person that gets their left eye put out. They become more negative. Well, it's very simple. The right eye actually corresponds to the left side of the brain, which is where a lot of negativity comes from. And the left eye corresponds to the right side of the brain. Yep. Which is very, I mean, people don't know that. And so there are sects of Hindu that actually believe that the right eye is, and they talk about it. It's very, very poignant. You know, they're like, well, sadly enough, your right eye is your bad eye. And they'll tell you that. And they actually live their life with their right eye covered because it corresponds to different sides of the brain. And now most people don't even know that. Yeah. When my wife went to the optometrist, I was talking to her. She was this Korean lady, and we actually talked about that. And she was like, "Wow, you know that?" She was kind of surprised that I knew that, but it was just, you know, from reading all kinds of stuff that I read, you know.
and this is something I want to compliment you on it, because you're one of the few people that do it. I do it all the time. I've neglected on some reading lately. I have a stack of books I'm going to go through.
Me too,
But,
believe me.
you know, people don't, if you're in this paranormal community, everybody that's here, if you want to learn more about it, you got to do what Josh does, what I do, and you got to start reading more than just paranormal. You got to read about the different cultures, and like you were just saying, because it's all related. There's a lot of interrelated information here, and it's very critical in my opinion, in any type of paranormal research. You know, I mean, the
cultural and history, all that, science.
My God, it's science, you know, religion. I mean,
religion.
So, you know, if I know I don't want to give everybody a homework here, but you really should start reading. You know, read the Bible, read the New Testament, the Old Testament, read the Quran. You know, there's a ton of stuff in the whole Asia area alone, between India and, you know, even the Oriental end of it, you know, Japan and whatever. There's a lot of stuff. And then what you'll see in this information here is the correlation, how everything starts overlapping. And there's a connection. And it's not just, oh, they got lucky. No, somehow all these different cultures around the world had to be connected. And it's, you know, it's not just taking place in, like, you know, Arabia or Japan. There is a connection between both of them, and they're both myths and legends. And then if you take some of their information, it actually helps you out with when you're dealing with, like, a cryptid case, like a, you know, on the side of Dogman or whatever it is. It's just very important. I don't want to get off track, but so I just think when I'm getting back to the story, I think what helped me out by having the machetes there is the Dogman knows that when you shoot at it, you're going to piss it off. And unless you have some really high-powered rounds, you're really going to piss it off, because it's going to go into their chest. It's going to sting. It may not kill them. 99% of the time, most hunters don't have anything. It's going to hurt them. But if you take a knife and you slice through their chest, and it's going to cut them right in half. That's why they respect the blade more so than the firearm. And we're not talking about military or the ends of our government that know that these things exist and go out there in certain areas and cases, and literally you see it all the time. It recently happened in Colorado. There was one of the national parks where people were mutilated, and the military, like, people saw military left and right. They closed the entire parks off, and all these helicopters came in, all this military came in, and I'm trying to find out more information about it. But I think what was taking place there was one of these cryptids went a little wet, you know, a little crazy, stepped over that line, and they were taking it out.
That's right.
You know, yeah.
Another thing for people to read too is the Vedas. The Hindu Vedas. I mean, they have so much information. Yeah. And also I want to thank Lene Perkins. Thank you for your donation. Mr. T, thank you for your donation. And Titan, thank you for your donation. And Nirat, thank you for your donation. Nirat says, Josh, you saw a Dogman inside a large building. Are you still entirely sure it's different from the one you saw outside? Also try wearing shungite. Yeah, I'm also positive that is something different, because that building is notoriously haunted. Actually, I talked to somebody that just worked there a few years ago. They heard my show and through a ex-girlfriend, and told them, hey, didn't you work there? And they got in touch with me. And when I did the show, I think it was Black Hellhounds of Taylor, Texas, Tony Duran, guy I used to box with, he came on and we talked about, he worked in that building. The trickster element in that building, that was not what I saw when I was 15. That was something pretending to be that so that it could deceive me. I'm convinced of it. I saw that thing's true form once or twice, and it wasn't that. But it was a very good copy. You know, it copies things, because I think that some of these things are copiers, and some of these things are. I'm not actually. Oh, go ahead.
I think you get some of these. You know, when you get into that jinn area. A lot of people call them demons and stuff, but they also will do a trickster type of stuff. They will transform their image or what you're seeing into something that scares the hell out of you.
Scares you, yeah. Hey, and real quick here, I wanted to tell you about Al. I lost touch with Al. Me and Sal, my old co-host, actually did we recorded with him.
Right.
And the recording, I don't know what happened to it. Like, we were looking and it just disappeared. And I told Al we needed to go back. I said, hey, we need to go back and redo it. And then we never did. We just never got in, and I did that with Paul Sinclair too. And so we had to, because we lost some stuff. And so I finally got back with Paul back in October, and then I was on his show.
Great.
Paul's great, yeah. But I like Al too. Tell Al to reach out to me, because I'd love to do a set with him and have him do it on the Friday podcast, because we had him on there, me and Armando and me were going through one day. We lost the file. And everybody,
you know those people that you meet in life that have like the greatest luck? I just lost my job. Oh wow, I just hit the lottery for $100,000. There's always those people like that. You're like, I can't buy a freaking hit. And this guy, his gift, he has these encounters all over the place, and with different things, and he has to tell a story very well. So that helps a lot.
Well, he has ojo dotado. That's what they call the gift of the eye. Yeah, yep. I told him that when we recorded together, and I still to this day don't know what the heck happened to it, because after Armando passed away in August, we thought about doing a tribute thing, and like maybe, and I was like, you know what, maybe we can go back in time and find that interview with Al, and we could put it on there, and that'll be like a flashback or whatever.
I'll let him know.
Couldn't find it.
Not a problem. He at one point he retired. He had a run-in with what they call the Men in Black, and it unnerved him, very very much so. So he retired from the paranormal for a bit, and I told him, as long as you're a partner with me, you ain't retired.
Yeah, and Brian, you guys do great work. Yeah, you have been for a long time one of my favorite people to talk to, and it is sad we lost Butch Witkowski. I was kind of like that with Scott Martis. Me and him were pretty close. I even named my cat after him after he passed, and of course he died in August. The year so it was like August, and then August. Yeah, it was like so. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it, dude. And then.
Look, I have my own questions. I'm doing this research. I'm not trying to save the world or anything. I need answers. Just like you need answers. So we've determined when we first started going, like Al started, he formed the Bronxville Paranormal Society. I was like the first person he went to, besides his brother, who's a paranormal investigator. He actually has a degree in, I forgot the name of it. He's a parapsychologist. He literally is a legitimate parapsychologist. He worked with the worms and stuff. So he said, I want you on my team. And so I said, you know what? I like going out with at least one person. You got to have somebody you trust, because it gets dangerous. You're going in the woods. You're going to, shady situations. If someone gets hurt, someone can go for help. I highly recommend that. I know a lot of you guys out there, you like to just hey, I'm just going to go into this abandoned house. Not a good idea. And then if you take more people with you, you do security, so you gotta.
If I have to, I'm getting paid to do it. Yeah, otherwise I'm not going and tromping around where someone's going to attach itself to me.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, you're in Texas, so I'm sure you have your packing.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, people don't realize like there are more than one thing going on, and sometimes, like somebody said about that building, those things can attach themselves to you. Like they'll say, "Hey, there's a Bigfoot in this area." There's a, and I'm like, I believe there's two different things. I think there's a physical one, and I think there's a paranormal one, or a metaphysical one. I think it's all paranormal, but I mean, because it's not normal. But I don't want to be around either one really, but I really don't want to be around the ones that can attach themselves. I mean,
you've got a wife to go home to. You got people to work with. You can't have it. Yeah.
And she's
one thing you got going for you, which is awesome, is you are a God-fearing man. Okay. Yes, you've made your mistakes in the past. We're not going to put the past in the past. Let's move forward. That's what I like to do. I've been, I wasn't the greatest guy also. So you get to a point in life where you can say, you have that moment, that come to Jesus moment. Like, okay, I could either go to the right and just be in prison, prison for the rest of my life, or I could do something with it. And you did the right thing. I did the right thing. Everybody did the right thing, you know. So when you go in as a God-fearing person and really believe in it, you have a lot more protection. When you're wearing, you know, a cross or a religious symbol, it helps. We tell this to everybody when we do everything. I highly recommend. You were talking about some great, you know, food and eats places, and I'm like, okay, let's go. I still want to go for the 96 ouncer down there in Texas.
I think that's an Amarillo.
Well, I'll go all over Texas. So,
well, I'll tell you what. When you come to Texas, bring Nick Valente and bring the Paisans with you. Bring him and Al, both of them, and you guys come down here, and we'll go to San Antonio. They have a place there called Lucy's Diner where they have a chicken fried steak about that big. I mean, it is humongous. And if you can eat that and the fries and all, then you get it for free. Your whole meal is like comped. Nobody's been able to do it. Like I had my nephews that were like, "Oh, I can eat this." So we went down, then we hung out and went to SeaWorld and did all this stuff. And then we went there to eat, and nobody could even eat half of it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's humongous, dude. I mean, and there's a lot of places like that, man. Fort Worth, San Antonio, they're just full of, because there's so much beef down here, dude. I mean, you know, brisket is king down here.
Beef, like I told you, I'm a meatitarian, a vegan, you know. So you know, that's what I am. You know, I love the chicken too. So
I just can't eat much beef anymore because it's more salt. So I eat lower sodium. So I have to eat a lot more fish, a lot more chicken these days. But dude,
try elk. I heard elk is good.
I've never had elk. You know what? I had a piece of elk jerky one time, and it tasted. I didn't like it. I'm not real big on buffalo either. I've had bison, and it's not real.
Bison's doable, but you know what? If you got to go the other route to keep yourself, you know, in a certain position, go there and then splurge when you got to splurge. We'll figure that one out.
No. Have you ever had shark? We were talking about shark earlier.
Yes.
What does it taste like? I've had it. People say that it's like a lot of it, like in fish sticks and stuff like that. It's really like blue shark. I don't know if that's true, but
it's weird. It's not as fishy. Well, the stuff that I tasted wasn't as fishy, but it had a little bit more cartilage to it. It's kind of like I don't know, like tough. It was weird. It's kind of like eating like. I don't do McDonald's anymore because, you know, I remember what the chicken nuggets used to be, but when you eat them, it kind of has that snappy thing. I'm like, chicken nuggets shouldn't be snappy, you know? There's like, I guess there's excess cartilage when they're making it or
you know
whatever.
What's funny, Brian?
So
I was in a McDonald's earlier today. I had to walk in there to use the bathroom because I was waiting for this guy to show us a used car I wanted to get for one of my godchildren. And so I went in there to use the bathroom, and I noticed, like, anytime I've ever gone into McDonald's, only to use the restroom because I will not eat their food. I have all kinds of reasons why. Not the least of which is the sodium content. But anyway, they don't have mirrors in their bathrooms.
Right.
Because their clientele tends to be obese, so they don't want them to look at themselves in the mirror and then go, "I shouldn't be in here eating. I should go eat a salad." That is the truth. I'm not joking. Like I had a guy who's high up at McDonald's. He told me that.
Spot on.
Yeah.
It's designed specifically, believe it or not, psychologically with colors and the lighting. It's purposely done that way to trick you into eating their food. And I'm not like a big snob. I'm a big boy, okay? You know, but any company that has to put sugar in salad to sell it, you got to walk out.
That's right. Okay? That's right.
That's it.
Thanks for the advice about elk. A lot of people are saying here, Dorothy Metcalf says, elk is excellent. I feel like I have been all over the world and all over the country, except surprisingly, and I counted the other day, there's actually only 9. There's 9 states that I haven't been to, and it's on the northeastern seaboard. Yeah, the Northeast. That's the only place I haven't been in the United States. I've been everywhere else.
You don't want to come where I am right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, that's what everybody says, but I haven't been to New York, and I haven't been to New Jersey, and I haven't been to any of those places, Delaware or anywhere.
If you do come in this area, well, I'll make a trip up from Florida. Well, come during the summer because I'll be back up here. And we'll take you to a spot, and we'll get you hopefully to a nice Bigfoot encounter that we've been working with for a bit, you know.
But do I have to just carry a sword? Because I have lots of swords. I have a ton of them. But
you know what? We'll give you like a machete. We'll give you a machete.
Oh,
The reason why you
God.
can't, well, no, it's you're still going in the woods. We do have big cat up here. They will, you know what it's like. Those suckers don't play. It's like big kitty cats with big freaking razor blades. But where we are, never seen a bear because this is where these things live. That's their base. We know it. And we've been having a good interaction with them. It's not that far upstate New York, and it's worth the trip. We had a great experience. Well, the place that we took, where we went to first, where I had an experience, that changed my whole opinion of Sasquatch going from being, a flesh and blood Gigantopithecus type of ape, that kind of spectrum, into interdimensional, or having the ability to interdimensional, because it did whoops, right? We were like 2 miles up on this lake, nowhere to go, pitch black. I mean, one way was a goat trail covered with trees. The other way, you couldn't see anything. You were going to kill yourself. And when we had this encounter, it went whoop, whoop. You felt it in your chest. And the third whoop was at the other end of the lake. And the only way you can move something that big from point A to point B is if it has the ability to travel interdimensionally, open a portal, go into it, and come out where it wants.
You don't think it was one whooping to the other? Because, people are going to say that. No?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, that's weird because the Choctaw, there's a friend of mine who's actually Choctaw, and he was telling me in Lake Texoma, and I'm going to be doing some more research in that area. I'm going up there this summer. Cool. And he's a tribe. His uncle's a tribalist. I met him. He's a really cool guy. And one of them works part-time security at the casino. Last 3 times I've been up there, that's pretty much the only place I'll go unless I'm going to fly out. But right. I go up there to gamble 2 or 3 times a year. And my wife, it's a really cool place. They have a bowling alley, really cool place. But anyway, we go there, and this one guy, he's been there the last 3 times, and we were talking, and he was telling me that you'll hear one. Like there's 2 different things here. He knows what these dogmen are. Okay, like he says that they're skinwalkers, and he says, and then there's these wolf-headed like creatures, but they can teleport. Like they go in and out of or whatever. And he says that they'll be on one side of the lake, and you'll hear them, and then next thing you know, they're on the other side. There's no way they could have ran all the way around. And he said that people like just it scares the crap out of them because he's like you don't know where they're going to pop up or what they're
exactly.
Yeah. And he said there's some really large Bigfoot out there, too, near the water. You got to be careful at night in particular. A lot of fishermen have been harassed out there. Oh, yeah.
You're getting their Bigfoot food. They don't want you eating their food.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't want it at all.
Hey, but, Titan, one of the guys here says, question for you, Josh. Is the Jersey Devil a local to that area, or has it been seen in other places? Now, I remember seeing you on TV answering questions about the Jersey Devil. Do you want to get into that?
Sure. Yeah, I'll get into it. It's actually funny when Nick Valente saying it's a hammerhead bat.
Yeah.
And you just said, how the hell can it get hammerhead bat? Because it comes from the Middle East, basically, right? Okay. So I've been doing a lot more research into what took place in the Grand Canyon. You know about the Grand Canyon, the guy finding the cave with the Egyptian statues.
Oh, yeah. The Egyptian, yeah.
So, right. I believe that North America had a plenty of individuals from Egypt or whatever that came into the States, and it may have been part of that whole, initial exploration. For the Egyptians were a fighting force to be reckoned with. So I do believe the Egyptians have been here. I do believe the
Romans,
the Vikings have been here.
Romans,
all of them.
Chinese. They found Phoenician anchors outside in the Yucatan.
Exactly. Exactly. There's way too much proof that has been found that you just can't make it up. And of course, the powers that be and the ones that own the fossil record, and they're going to lie to you. I mean, they take all the giant skulls and they do whatever they want with them, because if it doesn't go along with their narrative, then they don't have the power, right? So, not to get into it. So, I could see them taking some of these hammerhead bats along with them and maybe using them as food while on their vessel. Think about that. And a couple of them escaping. Now, yeah, I did that Into the Unknown show, and it's Jersey Devil. I've been down there numerous times looking for this thing, and the whole you got to understand something. The whole story it's like the Crossroads story. So I think people made something bigger than it was. Mrs. Leeds, was the wife of I believe it was Daniel Leeds, and she was like on her 13th child, and she's done. She's a baby making machine, and she's the one that said, I hope this one's the devil. And that's how the story starts. She's giving birth to this child. This deformed child comes out with wings and the horns and the horse head. People get killed. It goes up the chimney chute and it disappears, right? What people don't know is that the Leeds family, they got land bestowed to them. They were not royalty, but they had their own crest. And the crest of the Leeds family was a werven, I believe it's called. So it was a bat-like creature. And it looked like a winged dragon. Very much like the description you see of the hammerhead type of creature that was supposedly the Jersey Devil. And the whole thing with the Leeds family was the Leeds families were Quakers. They had an almanac. And Daniel Leeds and his son, I forgot his name. I think it was like Titan or something like that. Titan inherited the almanac, and as Quakers, he started putting astrological stuff in the almanac. And the Quakers were like, whoa, wait a minute. This is not what, this goes against the religion. So he didn't care. It was part of his almanac. At the same time, the almanac was out, and he was pretty successful with it. There's a guy named Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
Some of you guys may know him. Mm-hmm. But he had his own almanac called Poor Richard's Almanac.
Poor Richard, yeah.
And they were competing with each other. So Franklin, being the guy he is, he started disparaging the Leeds family, saying they're devils. Look at their crest. And saying they're all demons and everything, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where this whole story starts, going crazy. That's the myth story, and it sounds good, and it's great for campfires. But when you actually start investigating this, you start talking to some witnesses, and you're not only in the harbor area there, but you look a little bit outside of that. In Delaware, in Maryland, you can get to certain points there. The same type of creature is seen in multiple different locations. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because some of these creatures have the amber eyes, the eye shine, or sometimes the red eyes, and horns are there, fur. They have these huge feet, and it's very reminiscent of a couple of different cryptids we know and love. It's very reminiscent of a Dogman. It's very reminiscent of I think it's a Goatman, mm-hmm. with the horns on it.
The horns,
right?
Yeah, I thought about that too. Yeah.
It's also very reminiscent of the same creature that was in Point Pleasant, the Mothman. You have three.
It's almost like an amalgamation. What do you call it? A chimera.
Yeah. And what you have is. You get, legends are great because you can make anybody into a legend. Or, I remember working in summer camp one time. I'm not a fan of Whitney Houston. My kids went down there and they had like some kind of party with the DJ and Whitney Houston. I couldn't stand her, so I joked, well, Whitney Houston just died in a plane crash, right? Mm-hmm. No, a train crash, I said, not plane. And she goes, really? I'm like, yeah, I just heard it on the news. Within 10 minutes, the entire camp knew. But what was great is, everybody had a different story. Yeah, I heard she died in a bus crash. And the other one's like, oh, she died in a plane crash. And I'm like, what the fuck? So just think about this. But, people are coming into an area and these things are there. They are existing. Are they interdimensional? Most likely. Do they live inner Earth? I would also say yes to that once they're here. Are they flesh and blood? Yes. But they also can go interdimensional. Mm-hmm. And I think you're getting a combination of different stories. Now, the only thing that's thrown me throughout this whole thing was, you remember that show, I think it's Paranormal State,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now I think it's called Cocaine State or State.
Oh,
Sorry,
God, look. Yeah.
Bum. Try the veal. Um, they now. I see. This is the problem with TV production, and it's TV magic. They did get a FLIR image of something that had a very reminiscent look of wings on it. Like, it looked like kind of like a dragon, with a tall head on it. And I'm going to throw it out. So if that is legitimate, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, then could we also have a flying humanoid dragon that's actually in there and is being mistaken for this cryptid?
Well, that's the Draco. I mean, it's like when you're
Right.
yeah, because you've heard of it, and supposedly they're very tall. They're the size of Sasquatches, and they're giant reptile looking.
They have the tail, right? They have that tail with a spade on it, right?
Well, but supposedly the king of the world lives under the earth, and he's a giant lizard. I mean, it sounds crazy, but that's what he calls himself. One of the questions here, Grace says Ben Franklin was supposedly part of the Hellfire Club. Yes, Grace. I was going to say Ben Franklin. I mean, he was part of the Hellfire Club, and he was known to be a pretty much a hellraiser and a womanizer.
He was part of that club to get laid.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna tell you
he was a libertine, as some would call him. Here's something funny. I don't know if anybody ever watches Mark Dice, but he had a video the other day, and it was hilarious when he was asking people which president was on the $100 bill. It's like an older one, I think. And they were like, it's like Ben Franklin was never a president. Everybody thinks he was a president. And they're like, you gotta get my dead presidents, and it's like, well, Ben Franklin, the $100 bill, he was never a president. But how many Americans, they don't even know that. It's just ridiculous.
Ben Franklin, as our founding father, was the guy. He's super smart, very articulate, intelligent, but he liked to have a good time.
He did.
He liked to have a good drink, and he liked the ladies. And he's the guy that we all know. We'll have that friend like, John's here, yeah, and the party gets started.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Franklin was all about let's have a good time, but he was so intelligent. Most people that have a high IQ and intellect and intelligence, they are privately the craziest party drinkers and everything ever. I mean, they are nuts. I studied engineering for a little bit, and these guys were, very nice and quiet. But once the exams were over, I mean, you could peel them off the wall. It was just like, what the hell has he been drinking? He did mushrooms, and he started drinking a fifth of Jack. It's like, whoa. You got to understand the people there. But yeah, Hellfire Club, definitely. I'm trying to. Yeah, Franklin was a pervert, but back then you could have been a pervert.
And back then it was pretty, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot else to do. They didn't have podcasts to listen to, and there wasn't a whole lot,
They wore wool, and it was freaking hot, okay?
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
and wigs. So I started looking at some of the cases, and some of the cases of this Jersey Devil have this beast flying at people or perched up, and they said amber eyes and some of the perched winged individuals, as well as red eyes at certain points, like when they went on a more darker night, it turned red. But they had the wings, and it had like that gargoyle type of spike at the end of the wings. Then you have other creatures that are describing what clearly sounds like the horns were they used the term shaped like a ram.
Mm-hmm.
And it was large. It must have been 8 feet tall, and it looked like partially human, but it just had this horrific sound to it, and it would run at me, and then it would disappear. And if you hear the goat man stories, I mean, this is where we get into this problem here. It's a lot of misidentification and of, I believe, cryptids, and these species are here, and somehow they're going from either interdimensional or inner Earth. They come up to the surface. They do what they do, and then they disappear.
That's right. That's right.
See, now, currently, right now, are you familiar with what's going on? Hey, Chris Turner, with what's going on in Chicago with all the flying cryptids.
Yeah, that's been for a while. I know Lon has been doing a lot of research into that.
Yeah, Lon has been doing a lot of research into that. Now, I'm gonna take you down a path here, and I'm gonna connect it to a closer area from Chicago. I'm gonna connect it to Point Pleasant, which is basically a good area for where you'd be by the Jersey, the Pine Barrens, and that whole area where you get the flying humanoids, the ram, and these other creatures, cryptids. So do you know where the first collider was in the world? You know, that particle collider?
Yep.
Most people, okay, so you know, but most people don't know it was in Chicago area, Illinois. That was the largest collider. And roughly it started late 90s. And as it was going, and it abruptly stopped. And after it abruptly stopped, I think it was I'm trying to remember the dates, around 2012, something like that, 2010. Okay, they just shut it down. Without explanation, it was stopped. At the same time, the time that they shut that thing down, when I'm sure they were going at full bore at that point for about 5 years, what happened was there was a paranormal investigator, and I keep forgetting this woman's name, but she was the one that coined the phrase, the Mandela effect. And the reason why she coined it is because she thought Mandela was dead, but he clearly wasn't. He was alive. That's where we get that whole, well, I thought he was dead. Because people remember him dying, but he's still alive. Well, I contend, this is my theory, I can't prove it just yet. I think this collider had opened up a portal, and different, there's multiple timelines, and we're talking about quantum physics now, and it created a rip in time space.
Oh yeah.
And when it joined back, right? It didn't join back like if A timeline and ripped into B timeline, and when we rejoined after the experiment was over, there was some of A and the tail end of B. That's why you have people up to a certain point that remember certain things one way. And that's why after that point, they remember other way. Bernstein Bears, the Ford logo, whatever. And I think
the VW logo and all the other,
Right. So, but what happened in that rip, that's why I think you can, what's going on. But I think what in that rip, it never was properly closed. And I think the reason why you now have cryptids there is they figured out a way to get from an interdimensional, different timeline that we're not supposed to be on into our timeline. And that's why you have them. Now, Lon calls them ultra-terrestrials. I haven't remote viewed that area. I too busy with what I got going on right now. So Lon's calling them ultra-terrestrials. But one day I want to do a remote view of that area and see what I can get out of it. Because if it is ultra-terrestrials, then I think they could be, higher beings, higher consciousness, and, I'll kind of get the gist of it. They'll know I'm there in a remote view. And yes, I do remote view. I don't talk about it much.
Well, look at CERN when they opened the one up in Switzerland. I mean, it was every dignitary and every, politician from around the world, the Pope and everybody else, they were all there. And they had all these weird ceremonies that looked satanic to me. I mean,
Me too.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going like, what is this? So people don't notice this. And the imagery is all over the freaking place. It's everywhere in every single thing you do.
Even in their logos. Have you seen their logos?
Oh, yeah.
That collider? It's
And CERN is Saturna, which was, that's the bad guy.
Yep.
The Romans, Saturn, he was like Hades, and CERN was the trickster god of the Celts. I mean, it's pretty right there in your face, Yeah,
these people today aren't hiding anything.
And they don't have to. And I was just talking about Star Wars. Okay, like they shelved Vader, okay,
right,
for 20 years, and they've made all these garbage, what I think are garbage movies and shows other than Mandalorian. They're all pretty garbagey, and I watched the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan because I was told by So my Star Wars friends, and I got the Chewbacca shirt on anyway, you know, and so they were like, hey, go check it out. So I watched it, and then finally, after the end of the second episode, they show Anakin, and he kind of opens his eyes, and he's in that back to bath or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know what gets me? I know why they did it and why they shelved him, because they don't care about the money that they will make from the most popular, most central figure of their franchise, because it's not about money anymore. It's about agenda. They'll lose the money just to push the agenda, because they know there's a bunch of people that'll still go out there and they'll buy the merchandise and they'll watch the shows and they'll do whatever, and they won't have this toxic masculine Darth Vader out there being a bad guy and doing whatever, and people follow that. But because there's an agenda, and people don't believe me. But think about this. How are you going to have Star Wars without Darth Vader? That's like having Sesame Street without Big Bird and Cookie Monster. Like, it doesn't happen. I don't get it.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, look, I grew up in the original Star Wars, and let me tell you, when I first saw that movie, we were all talking, and all of a sudden the thing came on, and we just shut up for 2 hours or whatever.
It was amazing. It was epic, and now it's like last three movies. I fell asleep during the last one. It was absolute garbage. It was just a bunch of agenda.
I saw what was the first three, and I think Liam Neeson was great casting there, but everybody else needed to go. I mean, I would love to remake those three movies. It just doesn't make sense. It's absolute
garbage. They just turned it on its ear, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
look,
I mean, it's crazy.
I think you make entertainment for entertainment purposes, and I don't think you need to have to put certain select race, creed, color, sexual orientations into a movie just to please the masses.
Yeah.
It's an art form. Make the art form. And be true to the art form. I wanted to, when Lucas sold that, I think Lucas should be tied to a whipping post.
Well, I think a lot of times when they insert characters into positions that they're not supposed to be in, I think that is more gender biased and more racist, because then because it's like, oh, we're doing this because we have to, because it makes you, you know, so you're watching it and you're going, this isn't realistic. This isn't, you know, I mean, like, you know, you wouldn't get Scottish people to play Zulu. I mean, you know, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like, and I have my friends, like, you know, and I got friends of every religion, race, sexual orientation, whatever, and they'll tell you, they'll be like, hey, this doesn't make sense. And if you're pandering or you're actually, it's patronizing. It's offensive, really. I mean, a lot of stuff nowadays on TV is very offensive, because they're trying to force things that aren't natural. And you're not fooling anybody. There's people that are going to sit there and go, yeah.
But this is agendas, and we've got to be very careful about these agendas, because they will affect us. You know, they do it very subliminally, but you're talking about, like, getting back to CERN and those acts they were doing, those little ceremonies. That's opposite of what the church is supposed to be, in my opinion. I'm just going to say it. Okay?
Yeah.
I think it's, and I mean, I've just looked at some of the stuff in the Vatican, and I'm like, whoa, what place is this? You know, it shouldn't be there.
They were overrun a long time ago by the agenda.
Yeah, no, we're not going to get yourself in trouble on your show. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, I don't want to get in trouble. But Brian, I have to run.
Yes,
but
sir.
Dude, having you on, we have to record so we can put it out for the podcast, and you know, we can talk, and then we can talk and just edit out. So that we can record and do, because I'm sure me and you could probably bang out 2 or 3 hours easily. So I mean, you know. So folks, be looking for that, because me and Brian are going to we're going to record together, Brian, for sure.
Yes, maybe, you know what I should do is I should figure out, once I get settled in the FLA area, I'll kind of cruise over to Austin, because I always wanted to go there, pick up some Lucchese boots again. And we'll sit down in one of those restaurants with the big steak or the big chicken, or we'll get you fish if you need to. And we'll
also got a lot of good food, man.
We'll just have a paranormal dinner. That'll be the round table. You bring a couple other people with us, and we'll just shoot the shit, and I think it'd be great. But as far as the event's concerned, I'm doing my best. I know, I definitely would love to take part next year if you want me there, and I'm trying to get there to stop by, say hi to everybody, and
hopefully you can come out to the conference, and you're welcome to speak if you want to.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get to that. So I'm trying to work it out with the old lady, but happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah.
Folks?
If you can bring her along, I mean, it's going to be a blast. So
You know,
Brian?
I'd love to bring my kids. I brought one of my oldest to a CE5 event they did. She loved it, but my youngest is really scared about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to take up any more time. I appreciate you having me on the show. You got a great show. Love everybody there. And awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on, Brian. And we'll talk again. We talk all the time anyway. But yeah, we'll talk again. And I definitely got to record with you.
Oh, definitely. And I'll work on getting out to you.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Yeah, get Al too.
In his old age.
All right, Brian. I'll see you.
Okay. Bye.
All right, bye. So, folks, that was Brian Bowden, old friend of mine. Has been in this field for a long time. I mean, you know, and I wasn't trying to get all into, you know, going off on a tangent about the agenda and whatever, but I just think that it's like, you know, it's ridiculous. I mean, you know, they put so much non-realism into things, you know, it's like it's not even fun anymore, you know, it's like you gotta ruin everything, dude. I mean, you know, like, I mean, and there's so much of it that it's, you know, they it's like they're trying to be inclusive, but in so doing, I think it becomes racist, really. You know, like one of my black friends, we were hanging out the other day and we were talking about it at my friend's bar. And he's young, he's like younger than me, but he was into Pokemon when he was younger. And now his kid's into Pokemon. And get this, he goes into the Pokemon store and there was a lady there with her kid, you know, and I think he said she was Hispanic. I could be, I think he said she was. But she was just like, oh, I don't see many black people into Pokemon. Like, well, like, you know, she literally said that to the lady at the counter. It's like, okay, so are we supposed to have some kind of like, if you're Hispanic, you're supposed to be this way. If you're black, you're supposed to be this way. You're white, you're supposed to be this way. And so, you know, there's supposed to be like this stereotypes we're supposed to follow. You know what I mean? Oh, and in order to break those, we have to make unrealistic fake situations. You know? I think it's ridiculous, dude. I mean, why can't everybody just be into everything that they want to be into? And why try to force it, though? I mean, you know, like, oh, well, we need to start, you know, making certain Pokemon so that more black people will be into Pokemon, or Hispanic people, or Asian people, whatever. Like, it's ridiculous, dude. I mean, I don't know. When he said that, he was like, he's like me, you know, but he grew up. He played Magic the Gathering is what it was. He was into Magic the Gathering when he was younger. And he went to school with some friends of mine that we went to school with. And, or that they went to school together. And he was just like, dude, it's like, you know, he goes, automatically, the lady behind the counter started being super nice and overly helpful, you know, to me and my son. And I was just like, you know, I don't need you to come over here and pander to me and be patronizing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that lady made a comment. You know, she said something, you know, because people that are inherently racist, they're going to say it. It's going to come out. They can pretend all they want. I mean, it's going to happen. But then there's these people that don't even try. They're not even really racist. They're just saying something that's the truth. And they're like, oh, you're racist, you're this, you're that, you're a gender bias, whatever. I got into an argument the other day about the whole Johnny Depp with Amber Turd. They're like, you're choosing Johnny Depp because she's a man and she's a woman and she was abused. He slammed some doors and drank booze, mega pints of wine. You know, is a mega pint bigger than a regular pint? Somebody can please tell me that, because I have no idea what the heck she's talking about. And the fact that it should take this long for them to deliberation, like how long does it take? How long does it take to figure out that this woman is out of her freaking mind? You know, like how did she even come to like the conclusion that I'm going to sue him back for 100 oh, he's going to sue me for 50 million? I'm going to sue him for like 5 times that much, like 150 million. Is that what went on in her brain? Is that how she did it? Just flip a coin? 150. That's 5 times as much, or 3. I don't know. I don't do math. But yeah, I'm gonna sue him. Totally gonna rock this. I'm gonna win it. We're in it to win it. Coming for you, Johnny Depp. We're gonna object to everything, even our own questions, man. I don't know. I just get so tired of it, dude. You know, and like I said, I didn't grow up a rich white kid. You know, my mom is Mexican. I had a very Mexican mom. You know, like I'll show you right here. This is a stereotype. This is a chancla. She actually should throw it at me. She's good with it too. She's knocked the heck out of me from, 20 yards. Ah, pendejo, and hit me with every syllable. ¿Para qué tú ya? Siéntate. Cállate la boca. Sit down. Shut up. You go to the store. Don't ask for everything in the store. We walk in the store. I don't care what G.I. Joe came out this week. Don't pick it up. Don't bring me that. No. And she would tell me, wait till we get home. Wait till we get home. That's when you knew you were in trouble. And it don't matter if you were out for 2 or 3 hours. When you got home, you got your butt whooped. People don't understand that nowadays with these kids, where they are out of control. I saw some kid the other day at the store yelling at his mom. He was yelling at the mom, basically calling her the B word at Target. I'm like, what? Like, where are we living? You know, and speaking of Star Wars, when I was a kid, I did have a couple of fluent friends. I mean, I wasn't like super popular kid, but I guess I was like a normal kid. I had like friends. I got invited to go to sleepovers, and I always had, friends and stuff, and I got invited to do things, and my friends' parents would take us to go do things, and I would always get invited, or I would ask my friends to go, and we would go to Schlitterbahn, which is a huge water park there. We would do things. But I had this one friend who was a very I want to say like he was very white bread. Like his mother was like a Karen big time, you know what I mean? She was the one that like literally found our candy when she went through our candy at Halloween, when I talked about it on my Halloween special about 2 or 3 years ago, and they found a pack of cigarettes, like some Pall Malls. His mother was the one that found it, all right? And I remember this kid because not only because we were friends when we were little, but we were all on the Sesame Street, and we were like 8 years old, whatever. And I remember just being absolutely shocked and appalled going over to this kid's house, because I kind of grew up when I was little, from a Mexican mother. She did a lot of the parenting. My dad was always at work. He was always at work. And then my mother started going to work, and then she was always at work, and I became a latchkey kid. But before that, I was raised like a Mexican. Okay, my mother was the parental person, and then my dad would come home, and she'd be like, "He needs his butt whooped," Simple as that. After she did whatever. And so this kid, he invited me over one day, and we watched Sesame Street, and his mother brought us like cookies and milk. I didn't like milk. She was very sweet. She put chocolate, and so I would drink it. I didn't really like milk. It made my stomach hurt. So I drank it. I was being polite. And he goes, "Look, Mom, Cookie Monster." And he takes the chocolate chip cookies. They're really good too. I remember that she made them with like these pecans, and I got my mom to do it. She started doing it, and they're really good. Anyways, I liked cookies. I was never like a big sweet eater, and I'm still not a sweet eater. But cookies are kind of a weakness. I don't keep them around because I'll eat them. And so he just started shoveling them in his mouth like Cookie Monster. And you know how Cookie Monster, he would put cookies in his mouth. Obviously, he's a puppet. It's not being digested, and it's just flying back out of his mouth. And you're going like, as a little kid, with not a lot of money when I was little, I would watch Sesame Street, and I remember thinking back recently, and I told my wife, I was like, it was actually kind of sad, because I remember watching that and go, I would eat that. I would eat those cookies that are falling out of this puppet's mouth, because, he's wasting them. Look at what he's doing, you blue bastard. He's sitting there going like, dude, and so this kid in front of his mom started doing it, and the cookies were flying out of his mouth, and he wasn't eating them, and I was like, this kid is literally just wasting all this food. Dude, I would have got smacked so hard upside my head, and I was just like, it was funny to my other friend and to him and his mother, but to those three people, it was hilarious. To me, I was just in shock. Like, I couldn't believe that she was letting him waste food like that. I was like, wow, this is like culture shock to me. I mean, I can't imagine I just couldn't imagine that. And I remember thinking back and going like, wow, I would watch Cookie Monster and wish I had cookies. But, so I'm just saying, I grew up poor until I was like, I think 10, and my dad got a decent job at the power plant, and then he just kept going to school, until he became an engineer, whatever the heck he did. Then went to work at Samsung, whatever, and hoarding his money the whole time. He's greedy, hitting my mother, which he did. He can say he didn't, but he did. He hit my mom many occasions in front of us. Not a good guy. His whole family, and his side of the family, they don't realize what a monster he is. I think they just don't really get it. And I haven't really told them, but if I did anything, one back talk, anything at all, it was hand. He was always hitting me. And so I just learned at an early age, I mean, you don't waste food. You don't, my mother saved me a lot from my dad's wrath. I mean, she would tell me, my dad would during little leagues, we'd go outside to throw the ball. And if I dropped the ball, my dad would hit me. If I didn't throw the ball hard enough, he would hit me. He was trying to teach me how to pitch, and I wasn't mastering the split finger fastball, and I got hit. I got hit so much I was doing this all the time, like flinching, and then he would get mad because I was flinching because I was scared to death of him. And I didn't like being alone with him because, anything that happened, it was you were the focal point of his anger. So we would go for a drive or something, and I would just sit there against the door trying not to say anything to make this guy mad. And then when he was in a good mood, I'd try to talk and make him laugh and whatever, but that would only last so long. Then he would fly off the handle again and begin hitting me because that's just how he was. I couldn't imagine spitting cookies out to make somebody laugh. It would just be a disaster. I would be spanked probably to death. And so I was just in shock, and so as a little kid, I grew up looking like a white person, but growing up more as a Hispanic kid, because my mom, she raised us, we ate arroz con pollo, and we ate pasole and marasqueta, and we ate fideo, and we grew up eating carne guisada, not asada. Everybody knows that's steak, carne guisada. You grew up that way. And you just learned to eat whatever the heck your mom put on your plate, and you didn't argue because you would get smacked. But it was better if she dealt with me because my dad would go overboard and he would take me and beat the crap out of me. And my mom would get upset and cry, and then he'd hit her, and I don't know what goes on in this guy's head if he actually doesn't believe that he did these things, because I don't think he does. And my wife said the other day, she said, you regret a lot of things after your mom died, and if something happens to your dad, you're going to regret it, all this and that. And I was like, I don't think so. Because he has made no effort in the last 20 years to do anything with me or for me or whatever, little minor things. But I don't feel I don't think he loves me. I don't think he really ever has. Maybe when I was little or something at one point. But when you start going into like being of a mixed racial heritage, like a Mexican mother, white dad, I don't look at my dad like, oh, he's an evil white guy. No, he was just bad. Because everybody else in his family, including his dad, were actually great, nice, good people and have treated me absolutely great. Now, I can't even say that for my mom's side of the family. Now, all my aunts and uncles were great, but not everybody in her family was great. There were some bad ones, and they mistreated me. And I don't know if it was because I was white, I was called white boy and this and that, and mistreated at times for being white and living in a Hispanic neighborhood. So I fought a lot. And so I did experience a lot of racism, but a lot of it came from the Hispanic side. And not really just my mom's family so much, just people that lived around us, but there were a few on my mom's side. Like my mom's uncle was really mean to me. I didn't like him at all. He was never very nice. I mean, we had a few conversations later in life where he was a little bit nicer, but I think he was just a mean guy. I don't judge the entire Mexican race by him. I don't judge the entire white race by my dad. My dad was just a mean person. He's just a bad guy. He's not a nice guy. I mean, he's got to know he's not a nice guy. There's a whole lot more that I could say about him. But the point is that you grow up and people are just people, but we always have to put these labels on people, and if people aren't acting the way that they think that we should be, you know, then, we got to make a movie or a show or something and put people out of place and put them in weird positions so that I was watching The Wheel of Time. Horrible, ridiculous, good concept. But just, I mean, there was a woman who was like trying to give birth, and she had a spear, and she was fighting a bunch of dudes, and she was killing them all while she's in labor. And you're going like, okay, this didn't need to happen. First of all, it's just gross. But second of all, how realistic is that? I mean, you know, when was the last time you saw a woman going into labor, you know, fighting with people with a spear? You know, it's like, has that ever happened in the history of the world? I mean, you know, that's more unbelievable. Some of the stuff that they come up with, that Hollywood comes up with, is more ridiculous and more unbelievable than Dogman and Sasquatch shooting each other with AKs. I mean, I kid you not. I can believe that a UFO would land right here and drop off 16 Dogmen and 20 Bigfoot, armed to the teeth, you know, packing with body armor, ready to take over the city. And I would believe that more than the stuff that comes out of Hollywood. And they think they're being inclusive when in reality what you're being is racist. And you're trying to say, we got to do this so that people will... Look, you're either there or you're not. And one time I remember Jimmy Johnson, the coach of the Cowboys, he once said, you never live your life right in the middle. You're either here or you're there. And I believe you're either on the level or you're not. And if you're not on the level, then you get yourself to the level. Because we don't just live right down the middle and everything is fine. And you have to make choices. You have to make choices. And I want to make choices on the side of common sense. And here lately, it's just gotten more and more and more and more ridiculous. To the point where you people are pushing me to one side. You're trying to make me, you're forcing me to do this. They come out with a He-Man. I was so excited to watch He-Man, and my friend said, nope, forget it. It's about Tila. It's not about He-Man. And don't say nothing. Because you get in trouble. Take away your free speech. Then I got to go get a lawyer. I just think that things are so ridiculous that if you're on that team, on that side of ridiculousness, dude, stop and please, for the love of God, or the love of whatever idol you worship, or whatever the heck, your worship of what you think is science, which is completely incomplete, whatever it is you think you're on or doing, just stop and think for a minute. Are you in touch with reality at all? I mean, do you have any idea, like what it is to live and be pragmatic and try to live up here to where you need to be? I'm not talking about the standards of our sick society. I'm talking about the standards of what, as a human being, you should observe. Like, I mean, you know, just try. Let's give common sense a chance. Oh, anyways, I muted my mic. This mic, I don't know a lot about it. It just sits here. But anyways, what I was trying to say was I liked She-Ra as a kid because they actually, the evil Horde was Hordak, which was Skeletor's mentor. There's a pretty cool storyline. And I liked that she was like his twin, and it was pretty cool. But they made like the good guys for She-Ra, like for girls. And that was She-Ra, the good guys were marketed toward and the bad guys were marketed toward boys. It's kind of ridiculous. Why is it not good? Why can't the boys and girls have good and bad? I'm going to tell you something else about our high school system. It's flawed. Why do you think so many girls go to college? 68% of college entrance, people going to college are female. Why do you think that is? Boys don't do good in school anymore. They don't. It's been that way since I was in school. You're 18 years old, and you're going through, your hormones are raging. Okay? You're at your sexual peak when you're 18. If you're a woman, you don't hit it till 35. Girls can focus and study and ignore boys. Boys can't. They just can't. They're distracted as heck. And I'm going to tell you this, and people might argue with me till the cows come home, but we need to go back to, like a lot of countries, most countries actually have girls' schools and boys' schools. But in this country, we can't have a boys' school because that would be gender bias, and you're not being inclusive, and you can't have a boys' scouts. You can have girl scouts, which no boys want to join, and you can have boy scouts, which everybody wants to be in. So it's Girl Scouts for girls and Boy Scouts for everybody. Why is that? We're not allowed to say anything. I think that we need to have boys' schools where they are paying attention to the teacher and to the curriculum and whatever. And girls can have girls' schools where they're being able and they're not being pestered and distracted and aggravated by the boys, because boys do that. One of my friend's daughters, she's got boys that they're like grabbing her, hey girl, say girl, grabbing her in the hallway, pulling on her. They don't need that. What's wrong with common sense, folks? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with having it? It should be in every. Somebody says here, I get it. You don't like get this person off of my. Please get them out of here. Get rid of them. Shut up. I don't want to hear your crap, dude. Okay, Carl B. Get out of here. That's not what I'm talking about, dude. You're over here trying to start. No, we're not here to hear your propaganda. Get Carl B. out of my. Get him out of my. Get this Carl out of my face. Be gone. Don't ever listen to my show again. Sound like it doesn't exist. Use one of those things that Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones used to wipe your brain. Get rid of him. Carol B, Karen, whatever. Get rid of her. This has nothing to do with that at all. What are you talking about? I get it. You're a racist, left. You don't like the whatever. It's not what I'm talking about. Totally missing the point. Common sense should be used in everything, including, looking for cryptids and whatever else you're doing. Ghosts. How many of you would like a show about ghosts? I was going to ask that earlier. If you would like a show about ghosts, we need to do one about ghosts. I've been getting people asking me, especially from the ghost community, just to do one of really scary ghost stories, because I have a bunch of them. So I don't know. Yeah, facing the crowd. Yeah, you're right. They just come up with something off the top of their head because they don't like what they're hearing. They're like, it's common sense. Stupid. Ridiculous. C is for cookie. I'm gonna spew it all over me. I don't know. I used to love Cookie Monster until I got a little older and I just realized he's just wasting food. Not into it anymore. Not feeling it. But we can't have Vader. What's wrong with Darth Vader? Why can't we have him? Is he toxically masculine? Is that the problem? Is he a bad guy? I know. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, that happens all the time. You'll get people that are dark-skinned Hispanic, and they're like, "You're a racist. You're a white supremacist," and you're like, a couple of my friends that they're just like, if they say anything that's not the way that they're supposed to say it, that they're expected to say it, then they're labeled that. I have a lot of black friends that are conservative. I have a lot of white friends that are left liberal. It just, but the problem is we can't have frank discussions about these things because it's, oh no, and everybody has to freak out and get real mad and make ridiculous statements. What did I say about that at all? I never even said anything about that. What is this person talking about? Cookie Monster is a Nephilim. Yeah, we all know that. You don't like Cookie Monster because he's blue. I don't like Big Bird. Uh-oh. Ooh. He's yellow. You better be careful. We'll cancel you. Better watch it. You don't like Oscar the Grouch? He's green. You don't like Darth Vader? I like Darth Vader. And I like the Stormtroopers a lot. I'd like to see that more. Instead they do Palpatine, they put him up there. With these hands. He's like an ancient person with emphysema. He smoked his whole life or something. With bags under his eyes. Why is that the guy you put up there? His lineage? The chick that looks like she's a weightlifter or whatever, the very ugly girl that they use for the Star Wars movies. Roy, is that her name? Roy or something? Some crap, I don't know. She's the worst character in the history of Star Wars franchise. Just not attractive. That's another thing Hollywood likes to do too, is put very unattractive people on there. They're like, oh, you're so ugly. We got to put you on TV. You have to be on TV. I'm still waiting for them to come and get me because I have a face for radio. So you think that I'd be on there? I mean, let's get me on there. I'm ugly and I'm not super attractive. Let's put me on TV. Because they pick the ugliest actors and actresses they can find. And you're sitting there watching them, you're going like, God, dude, the blobfish chick, okay? Look up blobfish, okay? What was it? The Handmaid's fairy tale, whatever that pile of crap show is that they made. The men are just going to go crazy and start just wiping women out because they're just that way. We're just evil. Which, and honestly, the world that they portrayed in that show is horrific. I would never be on board with something like that. Who would? I mean, you'd be a sicko. Like, what kind of sick? They think up these drug-addled people come up with these sick things. It's just insane. They just come up with the worst crap. Let's think of the worst sick thing and we'll just put it out there. And she's so ugly. She's like, I gotta make my face more. And you're like, I tried. It was like half a dozen episodes in. I said, honey, I can't. Despite all the other junk, I could ignore or suspend reality with the best of them. But this woman, Elizabeth Moss or whatever, she's a Scientologist. I don't know, whatever. She's horrible. She's just, I mean, good God, dude. Like, what in the heck is going on? And then the guy goes, You're stunning. Literally, that goofy little skinny guy with the little pinhead. You're absolutely stunning. What are you seeing? Stunningly ugly. She's the most hideous person in Hollywood. Like, how is this person like? She's stunning you. Like with what? Stone Cold Stunner? I don't know. What is she stunning? I don't know. I don't know. What do I know? It's crazy. The people that get into TV now, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's with everything now. It gets worse. Oh, it's going to, watch. Inflation, 10%, going on 11. Congratulations. Welcome to the reality that they want. Who knows how much time we have, folks? Be kind to one another. Do the best you can. Try to make it. Invest in gold. Keep telling you. Grace W says, Grace, I've been calling you a lot today. I don't know if we're friends on Facebook or whatever, but hit me up on Facebook. And she says, thank you, Josh. I thought I was the only one. She fell out of the ugly tree. I mean, she hit every branch, dude. I think she went back up and tagged a few more and then fell back down again just to make sure she didn't miss any. Josh, is the Spear of Destiny real or fiction? I don't know. The Spear of Destiny was the spear that pierced Christ by Longinus, the Roman soldier who fell on his knees and says, surely this is the Son of God. Is that a true story? I don't know. The Soviets and the Germans were both looking for it in World War II. The Stalin and Hitler both looked for it, as did Mao Zedong. He was looking for a lot of artifacts, even though they say Mao wasn't. Maybe they just wanted to make sure. A lot of conquerors and people over the years that looked Parmer Ln. There were Roman Emperor Valerian, I believe, looked for it. Wasn't he the one that was flayed? Was it Valerian? That the Persians flayed him? Anyway. Was it Valerian? That was 300 AD, I believe? I don't know. Anyways, folks, it's been great. It's been real. Sorry that, we kind of went off on a tangent. I don't mean to bag on Cookie Monster. I just think he's a wasteful person, a wasteful being. And there's hungry people that could eat those cookies. Me being one of them back in the day. Just dropping it like it's hot, folks. That's it. I don't hate him for being blue. Okay? Can't help that. That's the way he was made. Oscar the Grouch, there's reasons why he's angry. He's living in New York. People won't shut up. Never been in New York City, but from what I've seen and heard from a lot of people, very credible people, very loud, a lot of rude people. Titan says, is there going to be a hangout after the VIP dinner? Probably going to hang out for a while. We all got to get up early, though, and do the whole day on the 13th of August. If you haven't gotten your tickets, get them. Get them. And like I said, I showed you the shark teeth earlier, Go back and listen to the show about Hawaii from this past Friday and the Friday before. I'm going to be recording tomorrow for Friday's show with my co-host, Tony. It's going to be about Dogman. So get ready for that. I got some really good stories lined up that I've been plucking. So, all right, folks, thank you for joining me. Thank you for hearing me rant. Sorry if I offended people. Another thing, I'm gonna leave you with this. I don't think that men should be participating in women's sports. And I think there's certain sports that women should play and men shouldn't, like softball and volleyball. My opinion. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I hate men's tennis. I think women playing tennis is great. I think it's enjoyable. It's balanced. Men, stop playing tennis. Get away. Go out of there. Get out of there. Go play golf, whatever it is. I don't think women should play football. You get hurt. I think women are great, and volleyball is a woman's sport. I think soccer, you can have men and women. I think that's, it's balanced. But I think softball, I like watching women's softball, but I like watching men play baseball. It's just my opinion. It's just, that's a personal preference. But there are some things that are just common sense, and you're going like, where is it? I'm supposed to be like, oh, sorry I offended you. Whatever. What about water polo? No opinion. I guess it's fun for all. I don't know.